Did you already set a title?
Yeah. Learning Holochain development.
Nice. Okay, cool. Here we are in the start time.
Hey,
Start screen.
already live. I haven't tweeted yet. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, well, it's just on the.
We are going live.
It's on the starting screen.
And then grab the URL here. And put that in. Tweet is out.
Beautiful. Okay.
Cool.
That's. Okay, here we are. We have a reasonable looking thing. Oh, I need to bring up the watermark.
Looks like our follower count just went up, so thanks to whoever just followed.
Yahoo!
I presume someone's in the room. Although there are 0.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe
it must have happened.
Someone who's interested.
Yeah, maybe somebody clicked on the link in the tweet and then followed, but didn't actually start watching.
Yeah, that could
something like that. Okay, well, cool. Here we are. So today we're going to try to explore some Holochain stuff. And I'll bring that up here.
Yeah, actually, Ezra, are you able to share your screen with me in the
oh yes, I am.
Google Meet?
Window. Maybe I should just do my whole screen. Spinning wheel.
And yeah, I'm gonna try today to keep an eye on the chat.
I might need to reload the Meet.
Oh, okay. We could also maybe follow along, just both looking at the same webpage on our own.
Yeah, I just might have somehow crashed my Google Chrome trying to do that.
Okay.
So I might need to do some messing around for a moment.
I'm gonna make a note in our chat about it.
So don't want to close all the tabs though. No.
Yeah.
No. I got it all set up. Oh, I have no choice. Oh boy, that's weird.
Oh yeah, now there's 2 of you.
Get that other one out of here.
I wonder if I can do that. Talk so that I know which one is you.
I'm the top one on my screen anyway.
You're the bottom one on mine.
Okay, that's hopefully working now.
Mute you. And mute your other you.
Wait, where are you now? Where'd Jesse go now? Ah, there he is.
There we go. It's showing me one of you now, but I did accidentally leave the meeting. Yeah, streaming experts. We are slowly becoming streaming experts, and you can watch the whole process here live on Set Match Games. We did not practice. This is our practice. So if you're a new streamer and you're feeling bad about your stream, just come check ours out.
Yeah. We can do it. Anyone can.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like, wait a second. There's all sorts of messed up stuff here. That is the.
So yeah, while you're getting that settled, I'm gonna just start scanning through on my own this quick start. Or are we good? Looks like we might be.
Yeah, go for it. I'm
Okay,
checking a few more things. Okay, we should be good.
Okay, great. Yeah, then let me. I'll just come back to the meet and watch your screen.
Yeah. So right, okay. So here we are. Quick start Holochain.
Yeah.
What we were going to do
Should we
today.
maybe give just 2 minutes on why we think Holochain, or like why we're even here to begin with?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So is there a good... Yeah, so the reason we are interested in Holochain is because Holochain seems like a very good solution for decentralized applications or other types of programs that don't need to have a very fast network-wide consensus on everything all the time,
Right.
which we don't if we're having lots of very small groups of people play games just within that group. That's what's going to be happening most of the time with games.
We don't need a global consensus on whether
Right.
or not the move between you and your friend, or even 2 players in a big tournament, we don't need a global consensus about whether or not those 2 moves are legal before they can make those moves.
Right.
We may want a global consensus on some things. I guess we want flexibility in the size of consensus we need.
Right.
And attaching ourselves to something like Ethereum doesn't make as much sense for that.
Right. So a blockchain project like Ethereum pretty much forces that type of global consensus, or at least that's the default. There are things like state channels that people are working on that kind of get around that, but Holochain is kind of designed from the ground up to do this more granular thing where you can have really, really loose consensus. You can have the whole spectrum.
Yep.
So that's why we're interested in it. And today we were hoping to go through a sample application that they have called CoinToss, which it seems like is pretty similar to the use that we might have for
kind of perfect for us, actually. Yeah. It's example for trusted random initiation, right? So flip a coin to see who goes first.
Yep.
In a game, I mean, is absolutely 100% what we will probably use this trustable random initiation in our first production game.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, but first we need to make sure that we have at least the setup done correctly. So we're going to try to sort of go through the setup of this and understanding this CoinToss repo. That's the goal for today's stream.
Yep.
So here we go. Quick start of Holochain Developer Resource Portal. Let's check it out.
Okay.
So welcome to the Quick Start Guide. Once you've got things installed, you can read these tutorials. If you find an issue, you believe you found an issue with the code, you need general assistance, they have some community resources.
Great.
Install script. So this is looking like it's for the
But
Rust.
also, this is gonna be pretty intense because I have wanted to learn Rust, but have not learned Rust.
Yes,
So-
and I believe when I installed this, the Rust implementation was not done, and so I have the Go
So you have the Go
installation installed. So maybe we'll just both switch to the Rust one.
I think so.
Since we're following these
So
directions anyway.
That's actually a question. Let's look at the coin toss because I think the Rust coin toss is not complete.
Okay, well that might change our
but-
opinion about it, I guess.
But we may want to go with the Rust anyway because it might be nice to help complete the coin toss.
DNA is just JSON. Oh, not quite. Right? That's what. Oh no, here's coin toss.
I don't know. I think
it's not.
DNA,
There's some JavaScript in here too.
I think DNA is code and metadata.
Yeah, it seems to be both.
Yeah.
Okay, this seems to be the main application type of stuff, which isn't JavaScript.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure actually that there's anything.
Yeah. So this is the
tied.
quick start. Well, the quick start, I expect will teach us what DNA is.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like this repo is Rust or Go.
Rust. Yeah, I had come across. I think we might be getting ahead of ourselves down a rabbit hole. I think we can just be confident that going through the Rust
The instructions
will be worth the time, no matter what.
I think so. Yeah. Okay, install script. Got some install scripts. They're tested against fresh virtual machines. Package manager is brew on Mac or whatever. I always read this as apartment get, and that's obviously not what it is. But
I have heard apt-get.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering what apt, is a. I don't remember.
I think it stands for something. I don't
application something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Apartment get for Linux. And details below. Install Git. Pretty sure we probably both have that.
Yep.
Check out the Holochain repository. So the Rust repo is here. I suppose we should at least open it up. I'm sure it's going to have lots of information in it. We're not going to read that right now, unless it tells us to.
Yeah.
Use Git to check out a specific version. For example, to download the latest, develop, commit. We can do so. Perhaps we should go here to decide which version to do. We could do develop. We could do, if there's something else obvious. Maybe develop is what we want. What do you think?
Sure looks like it.
There is master.
There is a master. Let's compare develop and master and see.
Okay.
See if develop is like many. Yeah.
It's pretty different. Looks like
it's 2 commits ahead and 1,400 commits behind develop. So yeah, I think it does not look like master is being used right now. It looks like develop is being used. So yeah, let's use develop.
Okay, cool.
So what did the just to give some feedback about that experience? So develop is the develop branch. Okay, so to check out for example, to download develop. Yeah, this makes it clear enough to me that develop is what we should do. Develop is what we should be using in order to go through this tutorial.
Right. Okay, so we'll get started doing this, I suppose. Oh man, I have to manage all this stuff now. So now I should switch to away from this. Okay, go. Here's our console.
Behind the scenes, you get all the behind the scenes here on SetBench Games.
Right. Yeah. And where should I put this? Just in a regular kind of workspace, I guess. Doesn't look like it matters. It's not. Well, I'll make a holochain photo. It's fine. Probably. Might be a bad idea. I don't know.
So just make a holochain folder.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes sense.
I just remember when I was doing this before it being
be
like somewhat sensitive with me about like where everything was.
I keep all my code in a folder called projects under my.
Yeah, that's basically what I've got here.
Oh, I see. Yeah, programming as well.
And
Holochain.
a bunch of. So here we go. We're downloading the latest develop branch commit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will try to install it.
I'm gonna follow along over here too, off screen. Holochain Rust. Holochain Rust.
Seem to be a little bit stuck at 65%. What was that?
It looks like the Holochain Proto was in Go, and Holochain Rust is being worked on.
Sounds like they do. It sounds like they are focusing on Rust.
Yeah, for sure. Being rewritten from Go into Rust and extended. Code status. Rust version is currently pre-alpha, not for production use. That's fine. We are using it for prototype use or even proof of concept use. The code has not yet undergone a security audit. Fine. We expect to destructively restructure code APIs and data chains until beta. I think that is fine for us. In fact, if we are in here doing stuff with it, we might have some influence over how that works, or some input into that.
My download is frozen apparently, or looks been stuck at 65% for quite a while here. Might need to restart this.
Oh, for Git.
Yeah. Oh.
There.
Okay, it's moving again.
Is this the Git clone?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It zoomed up to 65 and then just slammed to a halt. Here we go. I don't know what it was doing, but maybe there was a really big file, or we hit some internet pocket or something.
Yeah.
It just decided to triage this
note,
download.
In the README, there are 3 developer preview releases
of
the Rust version. 003 is the first with a working networking implementation. So we might want to look. We might want to be on, look specifically at what developer preview release we want. Although going through the quick start develop really did look like the one that we should be using. V003 is the most recent, and my guess is develop is a little bit even ahead of that.
Right.
So if we run into some stuff that feels like bugs or doesn't match the documentation, we can come back and try again with this V003 developer preview release. Right, and I am going to be following along too, so I need to clone and download it.
Interesting. Run the auto install script cd. Okay. Yes.
Oh, I'm excited to be learning Rust. It's been sort of in my periphery for a long time.
All right, so here's the install script. We're gonna see if this works. I think there's a good chance it will not work.
I mean,
and we will see. Yep, there you go. A bunch of immediate permission problems. So, we could just
your password, so
so I think we just need to put in the password here. See if that fixes it. Okay. No, still a bunch of permission denied.
So, Oh, it's trying to apt-get update. Oh, you're doing Ubuntu on Windows. I see. Yep.
Yes.
So you are apartment getting.
Yes. Are you root?
I would
Maybe I
try
need to switch user. Oh, man, I haven't done this in a while.
I would just type sudo.
Yeah, sudo. I usually am scared of doing that, but I mean, it's probably fine.
It's much better than switching to root.
Command not found. Oh,
you can try source or that. There we go.
Okay, so this is the part where we wait and it goes for a while, and then an error comes up, and we have to figure out what that error is.
Right, exactly. Yep.
But at least we got it. We got it going, and that's it's a good start.
Did we just discover a spot where? Can we look back at the instructions? Because it looks like right. So it says check out the repo, and then run the installer script. The script installs using package manager, blah blah blah. We'll attempt to detect OS X and then run appropriate. So there's we might give some feedback that required sudo in our case.
Yeah.
Sudo or sudo. There's a holy war over the pronunciation.
Possible there's an issue about this somewhere in here.
Yep.
There are 211 issues, so.
Docker run isn't going to be it. Also, I would also check permission denied.
Yeah, just permission.
Okay.
Permissions.
Yep. So yeah, that might.
See how we're doing here. Still going.
It might be worth just describing our experience with that note.
You want to make an issue?
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that. Oh, I'm apparently not.
Username.
I'm apparently not logged in. That's interesting. Oh, yeah, I don't want it up. Ooh.
All right, I'm gonna run this on my end too.
Sounds good.
And see if the same thing happens in Mac. I'm gonna get my own copy of the tutorial as well. Quick.
Right. What is this? This is called like window. What is this called? I'll just find this out. The thing that there's some name for this.
Oh yeah, like
Linux
for Windows or something
thing.
like that.
Yeah, it's.
So it's not
got some
white
acronym.
Linux. It's not. It's like 99.
Yeah, this is
99's Linux, but
it's this. Yeah, Windows subsystem.
Right. All right. Let's see. I'm about to run that install script auto.sh with no sudo, and it looks like it's a different experience. It tells me this script will install brew, homebrew, some documents for brew, and then it'll make user local sbin, user local frameworks. Enter to continue, other key to abort. I'm going to continue. It does ask for my password. And looks like it's working fine. So these instructions look like they definitely work for Mac. Is it? Yeah, I am running a Mac. I'm not in a I'm not in a container. I often am.
Should I paste in this whole error, or just like a line of it?
What's that?
Should I put this entire error in the?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty. Yeah. So the format of these things is usually like, here's my environment, here's what I ran, here's what I expected to happen, but here's what happened instead. And then in our case, we did find a way around it. So here's what I did to get it to work.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would. Yeah. That's clear.
Just make sure I'm not stepping on anyone's toes,
Yeah,
Jesse.
I expected it not to error. I think is implied.
Right. Okay, let's see where we're at over here. Okay, so this seems to have worked. Which is very
Perfect timing
nice.
too. Oh man, the production value is through the roof.
Boom.
So yeah, I don't see any errors there, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Prerequisites, Node.js.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, here, let's. Long packages automatically installs no longer required. That doesn't seem like a big problem. Upgraded Node.js apparently. Yarn, sure. Read database. Pack.
Yeah, so it looks like it looks like it has given you Node and Yarn.
New version of Node.
Yep.
Or at least its preferred version.
Yep.
Setting up Yarn. So
what's the next step?
This should be done.
Well, let's see. And then Holochain apps is done in JavaScript executed by Node.js.
It seems to have set up Node 11.9, but here it's saying or only supports 8.x.
8x. Okay. Check the current.
Well, let's see what
Let's just run Node V. Node
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so it's running neither of those.
Right. Interesting.
So I mean, I don't remember. There's some Node version manager.
Well, let's follow let's stay truer to these instructions. Let's not.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't have the supported Node version, you can find installation instructions.
Okay. So now,
I do think we probably just want to use a Node version manager to run the right version with Holochain.
Yeah.
Which I don't totally remember how to do. I would like to see the options that I currently have in it. Because I may already have a few installed.
So it looks like NVM use maybe.
Right, that is probably what I want, but I want to know which I have installed first to see if I even.
Oh, you can also do NVM run a version and then the script. So.
Yeah.
And then NVM install version.
Version.
That makes sense. Yeah.
NVM list. That's what I.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Oh. Was it? Oh. Working hard on this.
It is.
What is that?
IOJS.
Oh, that is.
I don't either.
Not available though, so fine. Oh, it's still
Might be
working on this here.
IOJS. What is IOJS? IOJS versus Node. Let's take a look.
Maybe it's an alternate Node. It's still working. What is it doing?
Looks like a fork. Node.js versus IOJS. Why the fork?
Interesting.
company. They I think they run like Linux environments inside Solaris zones. So they wrote a translation from Solaris, like all of the Solaris opcodes to Linux opcodes, and they can run Linux in a Solaris zone for security stuff. So they've got a cloud service for that, and I know they're big JavaScript people over there too. So Joyent made IOJS for whatever sort of particular deeply technical reason that they needed it.
Right. Okay, so this finished. So we don't have the right version of this. So we're gonna install one.
Yep.
I think we might as well just go for this one. That's the one they test against, and
yep,
it fits
absolutely.
the requirements. Is there any reason to use this option from source?
Which
probably doesn't matter, right? S.
No.
Yeah.
No. That probably just
would help if I spelled this correctly. Okay, let's see what that does. I think the streaming is definitely slowing some of this stuff down.
Yeah, I think that's probably that makes sense.
Okay, well, there we go.
Right, yeah, so pro streamers have to have big.
Oh yeah, big old. I mean, I have a decent computer. It's a year, 2 years old.
Yeah,
maybe a little more than that. Whoa. But I did build it.
Yeah.
So it's got some okay. Yeah, that was me.
It might be more of the internet connection than anything else.
Yeah, my internet connection is not wonderful. Right, so we're now using the right version of Node. It may not be set up in the best possible way for future use. Like it may be that it's still just manually switching between the two, and in the future we might want to set up the Node version manager so that it automatically knows which one to use in which folder. But yeah, I think we can worry about that.
We may even want to set up a contained
just a
development
Docker
environment in the container.
Yeah, that's probably long term just an easier way to do this. They probably already have some pre-made ones. But this is fine. Okay, so now we're using the right version of Node. So great. Having fun.
Yeah. Working through it. Step 2, Rust. Here we go.
So this may be a longer thing.
Yeah.
If we are downloading a new programming language. So the recommended way to write Holochain applications is to use the Holochain development kit.
Cool.
This allows generation of low-level WebAssembly, WASM code with convenience functions written in Rust. In the future, there will be other languages, but now Rust. We're using a nightly release of the Rust language. I do not know what that means, but cool.
So as Rust development goes forward, they're merging tiny changes in all day long.
Gotcha.
Kind of every day. And so every night, they take whatever of that is stable and release it.
Wow.
So it's like the very, very, very bleeding edge of
the super bleeding edge. Okay, so it moves quickly, so we pin to a specific version to ensure a relatively stable working environment. Mm-hmm. Only the pinned nightly version of Rust is compatible with. Sure. To find the current nightly version, read
the README.
I'll just go there. There are 3. I wonder where this information is. Thought I saw Rust. Use. Oh no, that's.
It'll be here in the in this Rust documentation.
Is this is not the Rust version, is
No,
it?
that's the
Holochain.
Holochain version. Yeah. HDK Rust. Huh.
Here.
There it is. Currently, this is that 90s or nightly x86 64 PC Windows, and it can always be found in the Travis YAML file. Oh, I have wanted to try out Nixos too.
Is it?
It gives it's kind of a different way of getting the same thing that a Docker container can kind of get you for environments. Explicit, repeatable development environments, based on some Haskell ideas, so that they are like the production of the environments is sort of purely functional in the way that if the same thing goes out, you're guaranteed, the same thing goes in, you're guaranteed to get the same thing out. So reproducible environments,
Right.
sort of development environments, and it's done not using containers, but using some other techniques that I'm not totally clear on, but very
Okay. So this is the version that's in the YML file.
Yep.
Well, right. So Mac and Linux, this is what we want. This looks like it actually has the correct version as well.
Okay.
It's January 24.
Yeah, so it's unclear to me whether we should include that x86
this end part.
I am guessing I would try it without it first, and
Yeah.
just try this literal string. But if that breaks, we can try the other.
Now, should I go to a different directory before I run this command? Does that matter?
No. So I can talk you through what this command is doing. So the curl, there's two commands in this.
Curl is like a web request.
Yep.
So I don't know what these options are.
SF stuff. I'm not totally. I would have to look up what those flags.
Those are usually just options, not changing the command too much.
But basically, what it's going to do is it's going to look at that Rust file. It looks like.
Yeah.
And then just print it out. Basically, like its output. The output of that curl command is going to be the text of that Rust file.
And this bar gets pipes it into the next command, right?
Right. So right, that next command is going to take whatever's in the first one and do something with it. So it does. Yeah. So it does. I don't expect it to matter where you are. But
what is this command?
Also, following through the tutorial, you're in the folder you're in. So yeah, just go for it.
What is this sh?
Shell.
Oh, it's just so it's running a shell script.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Yeah, this is as a beginning programmer. Installing big things like this correctly is okay, it's asking me for something, but is definitely one of the things that's confusing, because
there's
not a lot of clear guides on it, and everything expects you to have it done correctly, and it's easy to mess it up. It's easy to have things so that they're not in your path, and then they're not being called by the other thing that they're supposed to be called by, and then you accidentally make 2 installs of Python or whatever, and it's a super mess. And I think that it's, from my understanding, experienced developers all kind of have their own way that they prefer to set all this stuff up so that it works really cleanly for them. But they all kind of do it slightly differently.
And after having stumbled through this stuff on their own and going, oh, I hate it when they try to make you do this, I do this instead.
Right.
But yeah, this like curling to shell is one of the ways to make that a lot cleaner, actually. But yeah, so now we have to know, like, we have to look through this and say, what should we choose? Does the Does the tutorial give us any help?
Let's see. I don't think so.
Doesn't.
It just wants us to do WASM next. So.
Yep. Okay. So let's.
I think we should just check this. This seems fairly clear to me. So.
Okay.
This is going to download. It's going to add these command line tools using cargo bin.
Yep.
It's going to add that stuff to the bash or to the path.
Yep.
You can uninstall, and here are some options we can use so that looks similar to the thing we decided not to put in. It looks like it has that anyway as a default.
Well, so yours is x86 64 unknown Linux.
That's the default host triple.
Right. Modify path variable, yes. So unknown.
That is the version we want. We do want to modify the path.
Yeah, this all looks fine.
I think this is okay. Honestly, I don't know exactly. The funny thing about the Windows subsystem Linux is that I'm not actually sure. It's it isn't exactly Ubuntu, even though it is Ubuntu. So this seems more general and maybe safer. So maybe just do this.
I think let it do what it thinks it.
So I guess it wants me to do that. No.
Oh,
apparently not.
probably don't need the
parentheses.
The parentheses.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will let it do that again, and just do this. Okay. Here we go. So
here we go. Another one of these. So
this may take a while if it's down. If Rust is as big as some other.
Yeah, that environment thing that you were talking about, I found also is particularly bad with Go. I think that's probably my biggest complaint about Go is that they want to put stuff on your machine in the way that they want to, not the way that you have your machine set up or like to keep things.
Yeah.
It's just not very self-contained. Like when I'm writing Go programs, sometimes it's just easier to put those code bases, like the code, like in areas where I usually don't put code. I usually put all my code in my projects folder, but I have a few Go things in the Go specific place.
Right.
And that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it looks like I ran into that here because when I was installing Holochain last time, which was 6 months ago or something, and I was doing the Go version, and I ended up having my Go folder like in my projects folder. Go is just downloaded into where I usually do my programming.
Right. And then that is weird. That is weird about a weird thing about Go. Not a super fan of that, but also I respect Go's opinionation, like how opinionated they are. So if you want opinionated things, except for the opinions you don't agree with,
right,
you're gonna have some problems. But
it's good to be opinionated about this stuff because
I agree, and
I'm not opinionated about it, and that's a good way to tell that I don't know very much about it.
right. And Rob Pike has been around the block and has picked up opinions for a reason.
Right, that's the key thing. It's like when you have opinions for a reason, that's usually means that if you can make things the way that you want, it's because it'll work better for you. You'll get more done.
Or at least it works well in a system with all your other opinions.
Right. Yeah. And that's I think probably one of the big reasons that so many different approaches are still coexist is that if you have your consistent approach and you kind of take it, then you can make things work for you. But someone else might have some opinion that's different. That means they have to go a completely different way with a bunch of other stuff too, to make that opinion work. That's pretty abstract, but maybe that makes some sense. Like if I prefer to have my Go folder in my projects folder and somebody else prefers it to be somewhere else, that might change all the choices we make when we're programming Go after that too. Yeah,
or at least it makes you like from time to time remember that you have a different opinion and have to take an extra step.
Yeah, that too, I get. All right, so we're chugging along here.
Okay, and I'm catching up. I'm installing Node, having to install that version, and then I'm going to use that version, and it's npm use. Is that what you did?
Is what I did?
NVM use?
NVM. I didn't even have to. I did NVM install, and then it automatically, I think, switched to the version that I installed.
I see. Oh yeah. Okay. So now I am at 8.14.1. Okay, great. So now I'm at the install Rust part now too. So
cool.
I'm just gonna copy and paste that into my right now. Downloading installer. All right. So I think we're both. Oh yeah. I need to say.
Yeah. So assuming this is going to take a bit longer, we could read a bit more into some of this documentation while we're waiting.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a fine thing to do. It turns out I already have Rust installed.
Beautiful. Great.
Because I have taken a look at it. But WebAssembly.
So it wants us. I think these are probably more installations here. So.
Oh yeah, Rust up target add wasm 32 unknown.
This just
means 0MQ. Oh, I'm excited about this. 0MQ is really cool.
Oh,
really, really, really cool. I don't even know how to start talking about it. How cool it is. But it's a message queue without a message queue, or like without a sort of bus, a central bus.
Oh,
but it's interesting. It's like you can make so that if you need to send messages between programs running on different machines or in different threads or in different areas, 0MQ lets you address those each side of a message queue, and it does a lot of fancy math and queuing theory to figure out, one program can just put a message into this queue, and it might wait a little more for more messages to batch them sort of super efficiently, and then it sends it handles all of the communication. It's a library for queuing. It's super cool. Very, very interesting and exciting. We probably won't have to do anything with 0MQ ourselves, but it's cool to see it pop up here.
Yeah. That reminds me of JavaScript stuff, just the way you're describing it. Like a thing that you have to deal with a lot. In
yeah. Let's see. P2P networking framework.
We're still on Rust docs, which is.
Yeah, those are online, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like.
I guess that's for your. It's nice to have it locally for your editor.
Right. Yeah, it's just a little concerning that's the step that it's taking a long time.
Yeah. They're hoping to change 0MQ in the future. But.
I think they want to keep using it. They just don't want it to. You to have to have a local copy.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, of course. Oh, for the time being, I see. I'm.
Yeah, it's confusingly written.
Interpreting the periods and the commas in this.
Yeah, no, I think you're fine. I like that parenthesis should probably be at the end of the sentence, not in the middle.
Hey, I mean, if hoping that they get some good feedback on this.
Yeah, we should.
I would suggest changing this.
Right. Yeah, this would be a petty thing for us to submit an issue about. But the writer in me, which is one of my other jobs right now, would say like, well, what this is saying is that they're hoping to change that it's for the time being. So they actually want it to become permanent.
Yeah. and I interpreted it as Holochain uses this distributed messaging library called 0MQ for the time being. It's hoped that this will change in the future, meaning we
right.
Want
Which
to get off
I think the way you're interpreting is probably what most people might read.
Okay.
The technical grammatical one is like, well, they're saying it is hoped that they'll change that it's for the time being, which doesn't make any sense and nobody would interpret it that way.
Is this a dangling modifier?
It's a misplaced modifier.
I see. So
sort of. It's misplaced
because it's modifying the fact that it must be installed.
Right. I think what they want to say, it is hoped this will change in the future, is that it must be installed.
Right.
So,
Right.
it should be here. Probably that's what they mean. Who knows? Okay, so we'll need to install that.
Yep.
This one is, I guess, not. We don't need to install something. It's just a targeting option.
Rust up, depending on what Rust up does, that might install some stuff.
Right.
It might install libraries. That's my guess.
Okay. All right, and then networking tools. Okay. So this is a thing inside of Holochain. Okay, so networking capabilities have been developed as a library decoupled from the Rust core. At this time, they're written in Node and communicate via IPC, inter-process communication, which maybe uses 0MQ. Maybe not. There's a mock networking implementation, meaning that apps can happen without this library, but if you wish to use actual networking, it will be required. It's called N3H.
Okay.
It's right here. This, I guess, this is a separate thing. It's not already downloaded as part of the Holochain Rust. Right. We'll have to download it. And then we will just install it, I guess. I mean, this is...
Yeah, so npm install...
that will only install the stuff inside it for itself.
No, not necessarily. I think
okay.
npm install is very flexible, and it depends a lot on how the project has built its own npm install. So it might install
okay
globally.
And then bootstrap is some kind of custom command.
Right, npm run
do whatever it's supposed to do. And okay, that seems pretty straightforward. This is still installing Rust docs. Yeah.
Yep.
It does say it's installing Rust docs, so maybe it's doing something fancy. I don't know. And then there's development tools. So some command line tool.
Great.
Which is maybe part of Holochain Rust.
Yep. So while we're waiting for this, instead of like looking ahead, I wonder if it's worth spending this time looking at just like Holochain concept overviews. Just so that when we do get there, we have some.
Right. So maybe here
maybe we
somewhere.
can look at the guidebook. While this is
perfect.
happening.
Right. Okay. So yeah, let's get some good big ideas here. Yeah. So it's open source library. Great. That's cool. They want to serve all these people to build and run applications which are hosted and validated by the users themselves.
That is so cool.
Doing so provides a superior level of agency and autonomy over heavy reliance on the so-called cloud and other third parties.
You know what else it does? It scales, not necessarily one-to-one, but it scales with the number of users. Like when a new user joins the system, they bring their own compute resources.
Right.
And the scale is like the same number is the number of people, and all of their computers are all working together. It's really cool.
Super cool. Yeah. Yep. These applications are known more widely as peer-to-peer, decentralized applications, or dApps. Then this is a whole interesting history where really peer-to-peer was the word people were using first, I think.
Yep.
And when you think of that, you think of BitTorrent and Huzzah and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mostly used for like pirating music and stuff like that because it was decentralized and it was hard to tell who the government was supposed to.
Napster actually was my introduction to decentralized applications.
Yeah. So it's just funny to see how those ideas, just from an architectural point of view, not any of the rest of it, have continued to filter through the programming world as this parallel social thing happened with Napster and all that stuff.
It's funny. It's almost like the prototypers, like the Napster people in the Napster age. It was like, we just want to do this cool thing. It's peer to peer.
Right.
And then academically, it was named decentralized application
Yeah, and now with blockchain,
and
this is what everyone's saying,
then
and dApps is what they're.
I feel like dApps comes from the JavaScript land, of sort of short naming, short names based on the academic names.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I do still feel like peer-to-peer is sort of a better,
I like peer-to-peer,
a clearer phrase.
Yeah.
Just because decentralized applications sounds like it could mean almost anything. Peer-to-peer, I feel like gets a little bit of the idea of like
clear.
It's actually the people using it that are doing some fundamental part of it that in other programs, it would be peer to central host, So that's really cool.
I do like this HAPS though.
HAPS.
Yeah.
Right. So to distinguish between dApps built on blockchains and those built on Holochain. So this is more of like a branding difference because they recognize
calling them HAPS.
Yeah.
I love it.
A more detailed comparison is here. I don't think we need to check that out at the moment. Holochain provides a cross-platform framework for the development and execution of these applications. By running these, users cease merely to use, they become user participants who are also responsible for hosting and validating the network's data. So that's somewhat what they said here, but that's basically the key concept.
That validation is really, really, really important. It's like the difference, but like I remember Napster going, "Oh, yeah, this is a song, but it's a terrible recording of it." It's like, so bad.
Right, and that was always the kind of thing that you would be worried about.
Yeah, totally.
Especially if you wanted to, pirate something bigger than a song, like say a recently released Hollywood movie, and then you download it and it's just some other completely thing. Applications can be developed utilizing any of the major operating systems and run on any device. That's very nice. Many benefits exist, and they're whatever.
I think we don't need to go through this whole status thing necessarily. Cool. Planning a dApp probably looks interesting.
It does seem useful.
Yeah.
And here they've called that a distributed application, which is
that is interesting. I wonder if they mean HAP here.
They probably do. I think that this is probably not a documentation that they've been able to, expend a ton of resources polishing. Because it's really long and they're a software company. I'm sure they don't have too many people working full time on, writing.
Nope.
That would probably not be wise of them to do. And we know what they mean anyway. So yeah. So they probably do mean a HAP. Basic expectations. Generally, you need to install Holochain. Yep. The command line tools. Yep. Understand this DNA thing, which we will
DNA
hopefully get to.
It at least does some configuration of the application.
Right. So you can see that this CoinToss app has that DNA here.
Folder.
And we don't really know exactly what that means yet, but we will find out.
But it configures it somehow.
How to write your application in a language that compiles to WebAssembly.
That's right.
How to think through building a distributed application. Right. How to build a user interface and how to test. Sure. Yep. Those all make perfect sense to me. Okay. This article will help you. It has been remarked that Holochain dApps, which, I'm sure they mean HAPs, require us to make a mental shift, first from applications whose data is centrally organized and also from blockchain-based data-centric apps.
Right. So this is that's something that I remember. There's like the data centrism and the agent centrism.
Right. So that makes me want to.
Your agents are central.
At least click on this link earlier.
Sure.
So if we wanted to know more about the differences between a blockchain decentralized application and what these people are going for, this maybe would be the article to read by Arthur Brock, who's I think the main person behind Holochain or originator.
One of the
very cool guy.
Yep.
Has lots of interesting things to say about currencies and things like this.
Yep.
Cool. So Right. So where was that? Yeah, require mental shift.
Yep.
Here's a basic overview of things from cryptography. Things.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Then we'll consider consequences for permissioning, access, and security.
Yep.
Encryption and permissions
the
are
application
important.
is distributed amongst the users.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Of course, privacy is important in centralized applications too, but the problems are quite different when you're trying to decentralize it. So, yeah, it's not
right,
like
there's no one that's like, oh, they'll just like Twitter will only tell people the right things, the right person, the right thing.
Right. I mean, it's the difference between if you have a room full of people and you have some secret thing you want to keep secret and you just kind of lock it up in a closet and then you pay someone to guard the closet. That's the centralized version, which is really vulnerable in some ways, right? If you bribe the guy guarding the closet. But it's also relatively simple, right? You just put all the stuff in that closet that you don't want to get out, right? It's
and like, you tell all the rules to the guard.
Right. You just say, okay, just, don't let anybody in who doesn't have the password or whatever, right? Yep. Now, instead of having that closet, there's no closet, and you just have all the pockets of the people in the room or something. But you still need to keep things secure. You can see why it's tricky.
At the level that we're working with this, we are trusting Holochain to have solved that piece.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's a reasonable expectation. I think that's what they've certainly said that they've done.
Yeah, and we can dig into that some ourselves as well. But from when we're building our application, we treat that as handled.
Okay, this is still on Rust docs, which is a little bit concerning.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas? Should we mess with this? Should we leave it some more?
No.
We can start messing with this with you could keep going, and then if you can get something going in Visual Code, then I can get that up using the Visual Studio.
That sounds good. You keep talking to this, and I'll keep working on it.
Yeah, so I'll keep reading through this a bit, because this is definitely one of the interesting things about Holochain is this is the security part, right? This is the cryptography. So, distributed systems rely more heavily on cryptographic patterns and techniques than centralized systems. The basic concepts below explain this. Okay, hashes. Okay, so hashes ensure the reliability of information by representing any given piece of data with a unique, consistent string of random-looking characters. So hashes are a really common thing. Basically, you could take a bunch of data and put it through a hash function, of which there are many. And they're basically like fancy versions of like Caesar's cipher. Like if you've ever done a little fun code thing where you say each letter is actually going to be a different letter, and I have a way of doing it. So there are ways of doing that are so complicated that to go back the other way is inordinately hard, is really, really, really hard. So hard that a lot of them, there doesn't really exist a computer on Earth that can go backwards, and that's what makes it really secure. But it still puts out the same result every time if you give it the right input. So
efficient in one direction and prohibitively inefficient in the other.
Right, and this is what centralized systems do this too. When you put your password into, when you make a new account, you make a password. Usually, that system is going to take your password and run it through a hash. And then they're going to actually just store the hashed version. So they're not even storing your real password. But they can confirm every time that you're inputting the correct password because they've put it through the hash and they match it with what they've stored. So it's clever.
The important thing about them is that the way they're used here is that they validate data. So we can compare hashes. If I hash my data and you hash your data and the hashes are the same and we compare those, we can be confident that we have the same data.
Right.
Without
actually
without
sharing
having
the data.
to reveal to each other what the data is.
Right.
Or
reveal to anybody else that might be able to see those hashes.
Right. So we can say people in the club get to know this information, and if you know this information, you're in the club, and you can discover other members of that club by both hashing the information and comparing the hash securely. So somebody who's not in the club doesn't have to tell you the information. They just have to tell you the hash.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, so this is what they're talking about here. It is impossible to get the original data from a hash. Not technically impossible, but prohibitively difficult, basically.
Yes.
It's comparable to a bank vault where, yes, if you had a big enough bomb, you could get into the bank vault. Or, if you had a clever enough scheme or whatever.
You would have to get
so hard.
Luck is the only way to do it, and you'd have to get luckier than winning the New York lottery 7 million times in a row. Something
right.
like that.
Right. Or make a computer that was 7 million times
bigger
as
than
fast.
The universe.
Right. Like have some
the
absurdly fast computer.
I think with current computing methods, something like a computer bigger than the visible universe would be required.
which
would
be pretty big. It'd be a big computer.
It's technically possible, but how safe? I feel confident relying on it.
Right. Right. So that's what we just explained. These features can. These features imply that one can use small portable hashes to verify data. One could also use a database containing data and their hashes as a table of contents, indexing data. So these are just examples of things you can do with hashes. In the context of Holochain, hashes are frequently used to look up content, both in our internal implementations as well as on the DHT. DHT is distributed hash table.
Right.
Which is a big feature of Holochain.
Distributed hash tables are super cool.
Right.
They're the fundamental discovery
thing of
how possible.
Yeah. So I'm not going to pretend that I can have a great explanation of what they are, but it's something like what we're talking about. If you had all those people in that room and you were they each had whatever information in their pocket, but they needed to share things with each other. They needed to confirm that they had the right information or whatever. But they didn't want to actually share the information because it's secret. So they hash the information, share the hashes, and the distributed hash table is somehow created through that sharing. And you've shared your hash with me, and I'm storing your hash.
Yeah, the properties of it are the important thing, and
right.
The properties mean what the properties are is that uncoordinated or people that don't trust each other can verify who is participating in storing the data correctly and who isn't participating in storing the data correctly. And so it lets any individual decide that they only want to participate with people that are storing it correctly. And presuming that most people are trying to do that, then you end up with the data evenly and fairly and correctly distributed amongst a lot of people participating.
Right. And so they're saying that they often use hashes here to sort of as like a table of contents. So you'd be looking up a hash in order to find the data attached to that hash, which might also be more hashes.
So
they call it an address.
Content is addressed by its hash. So the address for a content depends on the content itself.
Right.
So the same piece of content is always going to have the same address, and the same person in the DHT is always going to be responsible. People in the DHT, there's going to be more than one.
Right. Okay, signatures. Signatures provide an additional type of data verification, answering the question, who created this data? Signatures look like hashes. They are unique, reliable, and like hashes cannot be used to retrieve the data to which they correspond. Signatures also come with a pair of keys. One is public and the other is private. The private key designates a unique author or device, and the public key lets anyone verify a signature made by one specific private key. This key infrastructure, I wonder if that's supposed to be a pun or is the infrastructure key, or is it like key infrastructure because it's keys? This key infrastructure addresses the problem of single points of failure associated with centralized systems by making authors responsible for securing their unique private key.
Yep.
Right. So, yeah, this is something that, again, sort of like sounds strange, but is much less strange than it sounds. Pretty intuitive when you're using it. It's a lot like having an account and having a password to your account, and that helps other people say, okay, I know for sure that Jesse posted this tweet. I can confirm that, but I can't post as Jesse because I don't have the private key.
Right. It's easy to verify that I signed it, but it's prohibitively difficult to fake the signature.
Right.
It's also easy for Jesse. It's like easy for me to sign it, but only because I know a secret.
Right. And that's a good example because you can see why that's a useful thing, because obviously if you're using a social network, you really want to know that Jesse tweeted this tweet, right? It wouldn't be so useful if like Twitter showed you the tweet, but said like, well, we can't show you who tweeted it though. It's, it's information isn't available.
Or they claimed that they were Jesse, but we can't verify that.
Right. In fact, the tweets go out randomly by different people and nobody knows who they're following and whatnot. So you need to know who it is, but obviously you also only want Jesse to be able to post as Jesse.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, so
yeah, if I'm the only one who can do it and it has been done, you can be confident that it was me.
Right.
I think that's the
useful thing.
Yeah.
My installation is still stalled here.
Yeah.
Is yours?
Well, I'm installing networking tools now.
Okay, so let's move on here. Encryption. What if one needs to restrict access in addition to verifying data? Two types of encryption are possible. Symmetric encryption has one key for reading and writing data, and asymmetric encryption has two keys, where one creates messages and the other reads them. Encryption is a two-way process, so the right key enables one to decrypt an encrypted message. With this added benefit come the drawbacks of the size of encrypted messages, at least as large as the original data, and broken encryption stripping the author of control of the original data. So maybe an example of this would be, let's say, in this distributed data that's stored on many different machines, you might have a bunch of data that you want to put on there that you want some other people to have access to, but not everybody.
Right.
And so you need more than just the public-private key thing for sort of like specific people. You want to encrypt that data and then let some category of people or some group of people or one specific person be able to decrypt it.
Right. So it's the private keys, which is a more expensive encryption process, is used to encrypt a symmetric key, which has been used to encrypt a message.
Right.
And I can sort of distribute that symmetric key to anyone that I want to be able to read the message by encrypting that to their private key and only to their private key, and then broadcasting that encrypted message to the world. And then only the people that can decrypt the symmetric key can then decrypt the message.
Right. Layers and layers. Okay.
Yep.
Data access paradigms. So we've got 5 of these. I think these are basically examples.
Right.
Or use cases, you could say.
Yep.
The default model is public data shared on a public network. So like a blockchain, anybody can get the data. They may not be able to interpret it unless they have the right keys, but the data itself is fairly public. So that would be this: public shared data on a public network. which is like BitTorrent. Anybody can join the network. Anybody can request any data they want from the network. Any data is available as long as it's available, essentially. BitTorrent is a good example of this, right? If there's not a person hosting a certain file, then you're not going to be able to download it.
Right.
If some data is not shared by enough people, a new random person on the network must share it, which again in BitTorrent is always wanting you to become a host, right? Because they need people to do that. And there is no local only data. So there's no data that's like just on your machine that you can't. That's not part of the network. Of course, there is local data on your machine. It's not like your entire machine will turn into this network, but I think you get the idea.
Right.
Lots of these things have digital signatures. Yeah, okay. Public shared data on a private network. The functionality is the same as the public network, but private networks use cryptography for access control to the network itself. So it would be like a BitTorrent, except you could only access the BitTorrent if you had a password.
Right.
Not a BitTorrent, like the BitTorrent network. Like if you wanted to use some BitTorrent client, but the only people who could use that client required some special password.
Right.
Or let's say we're employees of a company, and that company gave everybody a password to their private network. Each device on the network must open a P2P connection to another device before it can send any data. Mm-hmm. The devices that are already on the private network send a challenge to any new device.
Yep.
Okay. It's
like
stuff.
Give me, sign this or like decrypt this message or something.
Right.
And only if you have that key are you able to meet that challenge.
Right, and then if you do that, then you sort of
basically sign proof that you can solve this.
Right.
And when you have that signed thing, we can verify that signature and verify that you're in the network.
Okay, encrypted data on a public or private network.
Yep.
Encryption relies on DApp developers encrypting and decrypting data with the DApp software. Holochain exposes a set of industry standard encryption algorithms to each DApp.
Oh, great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They cover both symmetric and asymmetric encryption options.
Great.
This option is very flexible, but security becomes more subtle. Yes. Much like the private network, any one user participant losing a key can become a serious security problem.
Sure.
Because here you're talking about, you might have a bunch of data that's encrypted to be available, all encrypted to be available to one key or to a bunch of specific keys. And so if somebody steals one of those keys, then they're going to get access to everything, not just to one person's stuff. So there you go. Note that encryption can pose problems for Holochain's native validation method. I don't know what they mean by that, but maybe we will.
Makes sense that it would. If it needs to validate something that it can't decrypt, it can't validate it.
Right.
I don't know much more of the specifics of that, but that's good to keep in mind.
And it does make sense that, like we said earlier, there's kind of layers of similar things. So you're hashing things and hashing them again in some cases and things like that. And if you do those things in the wrong order accidentally or too many times, then you can break the whole system pretty easily. Private local only data. Okay, interesting. Any data in a DApp can be validated and stored by its author without being shared to the network. Private local data can provide a useful database for portable user preferences and notes and avoids the complexity of encryption and key-based security. Private data is hashed in the same way as public data, and the hash is public.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Accordingly,
so I am a user that is using some configuration, and this is the hash of my configuration. And when I show up again, you can validate that my hash hasn't, or that my configuration hasn't changed, without ever having known the configuration in the first place.
Right. So it's private in the sense that you'll be the only one who can ever see the data. Mm-hmm. But it's still part of the network in the sense that if you take all your data and you hash it, you put the hash, you make the hash public, put the hash onto the network, then the network can verify the next time that you've still got that same data.
That your configuration hasn't changed. Yes.
Even though no one else will ever be able to see the data.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
One could tell that private data exists, right, without being able to access it or take advantage of it with dApps that feature the eventual reveal of previous. Right. Think a distributed guessing game like rock, paper, scissors, or a digital classroom that operates with signatures. Disconnected from real.
We don't have to think of. We're going to build one.
Right. So that's pretty relevant for us, obviously. Yep. All right, so what aspect of a distributed rocks, paper, scissors would use this private, local only data thing?
I don't know. Let's see.
I wonder what they mean by that.
Distributed guessing game like rock, paper, scissors, a digital classroom that operates with signatures connected from real-world identity users. Let's see. Tell that private data exists without being able to access it or take advantage of it. So, I see. So I would commit. I can commit to rock by hashing rock with some nuts and publishing that, and then wait for someone else to commit to something by hashing something and a nonce, and then we can both later reveal our private data by publishing the nonce and our choice.
Right. So it's a way of forcing people to choose. Like one of the key things in rock, paper, scissors is both people have to make their choice before either reveals their choice. And then they have to reveal at the same time without changing their choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you don't want people
that you have made a choice and that you won't change and that you can't change it. Yeah.
Right. So it's the classic cheating thing of rock, paper, scissors. You don't want people to go rock, paper, scissors, and then one of them sort of like waits a second to see what the other person does and then decides, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, actually.
Cool. Yep, that is very cool. Yep.
Right. So that's actually super relevant to all types of games where you've made a choice, and you're supposed to be committed to that choice. You're not supposed to be able to wait for more information from the other person and then change your choice.
Right. For example, in a Magic the Gathering style game or a trading card game, you have to commit to a shuffle.
Right.
And maybe it's a game that you're allowed to stack your deck, but you have to maintain the order. And of course, the order that you've chosen isn't revealed until cards come off the top, but you do have to commit to not like reordering it every time, at every turn. So you would want to commit, you would choose an order for your deck and then commit to that order with a hash.
Right. Yeah, actually this is super cool and extremely relevant for what we'll be doing.
Extremely.
Cool. Okay, so a hybrid model. Holochain supports many different environments and interfaces that Holochain is easy to integrate. Any connected system can push data. Yeah, any data in a dApp immediately becomes transparent. Here's a bunch of integrations. Command line tools, web server, Android. Don't know what that is. Unity 3D Games Engine.
Yep. Cool. Qt, I think, is a like UI library.
Cool. That seems pretty useful.
But we're going to be integrating with a few things. We're going to be integrating with a blockchain marketplace, and a probably some game engines, probably some decentralized organizations that may or may not be on a blockchain.
Right.
But yeah, that's super good.
Yeah. Okay. Best practices. Great way to begin offsetting the governance crisis now typical of distributed systems, i.e. the DAO hack. So if people are not familiar with this, which is actually much better example because it's recent and was a pretty advanced thing. So the DAO was when did that happen? 2016, 2015, 2016, I think.
Maybe.
Spring of 2016, there was an organization calling itself the DAO, decentralized autonomous organization that came into existence on Ethereum. And the idea was for it to be a decentralized venture capital fund, basically. So you have thousands of people that would give into it, sort of like a Kickstarter, but then they would vote on what to invest their money in, which also happened to be something that you could do in a very simple coded way in the cryptocurrency world, because you could invest just by buying cryptocurrencies. And people got really excited about it for a few months, and then somebody figured out a problem with the code that let them steal all the money in the code, which was hundreds of millions of dollars. And they got like $150 million or something like that of Ethereum. And then there was a big governance crisis in the Ethereum community about whether they should roll that back or not. Rolling it back would mean sort of like, it would sort of be the equivalent of like changing the history books, you know, like sort of like, we'll just take out the Vietnam War from all the history books or something like that. So a lot of people were freaking out about it.
In some ways, it's like, we're going to make a new Ethereum.
Right.
We're going to make a brand new Ethereum, exactly the same as the old Ethereum, except for without this event.
Right. So actually, it would be like if you could remove the Vietnam War from all the history books, and doing that would actually make it so that the Vietnam War had never happened.
In one timeline, but with another timeline where it happened.
Right, except for people that could keep the history books that still have it in, and for them, right, it would have happened.
And you can go back and forth between those two.
Right. And so there was a big argument on whether or not, whether it was more important for the community to come together and decide to respond to this issue, or it was more important to maintain the like sort of the principle of not changing the past. And there was a split, and for complex social reasons, people mostly went with changing. Probably mostly because they wanted their money back, but also because the leaders of Ethereum, like the people that were most prominent, tended to go that way. But a number of people went the other way, right, and it was a big governance crisis. Yeah, so that was the thing. That was the thing. In essence, one must consider how to prevent undesired access to the distributed hash table. If membranes are not built properly in the DNA, they really love their biology words in Holochain. They do. This is the thing. Having access to the source code also means having access to the entire network's entries.
Membrane is actually also comes from, I think, I learned about it in object capabilities security models. So it may have another origin that just happened to work out well.
Well, it's the next section, so we'll see what they mean by it. If they're not built properly, then having access to the source code will also mean having access to the entire network's entries via the distributed hash table. Developers must treat the code, or at least the DNA, taken as a whole, as if it's a key to the data. Note, too, that one can easily fork an app without disrupting its activity, making it possible to retain the benefits of open source code without some of the risks. So
yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, so this is definitely one of the interesting things about Holochain versus blockchain, is that it's much more possible to build a network on Holochain that would allow people to fork the software they're using to connect to the network in a way that lets them still stay in the network, at least to some extent. Whereas in blockchain, if you fork the software in a way
I'm not sure that's true. I think it's everybody who runs that fork kind of naturally gets their own network. The network naturally splits.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. So like basically, like if there's a bug in a game that is really fun for some people, because like it lets you do some crazy wacky speedrunning thing, and you're a speedrunner and you want to keep doing that, all the speedrunners can run the version of the software with that bug, and they can naturally have
that's kind of how, isn't that how blockchain works too? I mean, what's the difference?
Yes. Oh yeah. But it can happen without disrupting its activity, right? Because it doesn't need, Holochain doesn't care about the global consensus. right? Bitcoin does. Bitcoin doesn't want a lot of splits because they lose security power when the hash power isn't centralized on one thing. We don't,
right, or rather, when there isn't as much decentralization,
right,
on one network.
right.
Yeah, it's a funny thing with Bitcoin where it wants to be as decentralized as possible, but in another sense, it wants to be as centralized as possible. It wants as many people running it as it can get.
Right. The proof of work method of decentralization requires everybody working on it to be competing in a single work pool.
Right. So because it does everything with global consensus, if you can do an attack that messes with the network, then you can control the entire network, right?
Yep.
And in a system that doesn't care about global consensus as much, then figuring out a way to influence somebody else's system somehow isn't as dangerous, because at the worst, a lot of the time you'll be messing up, say, one interaction with one other person, rather than the entire network at once.
Yes. So I'm at the development tools installation step, and there's some manual labor to be done here.
Cool. So here we are with the instructions for that.
Yeah. Once you've downloaded it, unpack it, rename it HC, and move the resulting folder to a directory on your computer where you'd like to keep these files long term. So
I think they're talking about just the Rust thing.
No, this is HC.
I know they're saying not Rust, but the I think they're talking about the version of Holochain that we downloaded, the Holochain -Rust.
So step one is go to GitHub and download the appropriate release for your system. This is the CMD, the command line utility.
Oh, I see. Look for one of the downloads. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the link, and it was just linked to.
Right. So we just need it on my path, so I can move that.
Okay, sure.
I can get that. Okay, I see what needs to happen.
I see. So that's, I just thought it was funny to rename just the command line tools HC, but
yeah.
As a default, let's assume it can be this folder called HC right under your home.
I'm just gonna move it to a place that's already in.
Okay, so it just wants you to make sure this is in the path. That's the only.
Yeah.
That's all this. Oh, and then you're also gonna have to move the ZMQ file to that same folder.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe that's only Windows actually. So never mind. Windows note.
Where am I gonna do it? I'm gonna do.
Do you think I should stop mine and restart it?
User local bin. If it's still stuck, I might try that. I might try Control C'ing out of that and seeing what happens.
It did successfly. Oh, what? I Controlled C, and now it's saying that it's successfully installed.
Great. that does happen sometimes. I'm not totally sure what is going on there, but that does happen sometimes.
Okay, well, I guess.
So, we can get back to. We can get back to getting you set up. That's great.
I suppose we should do that. Which is here. Okay. Right. All right. So here we are. Rust is installed now. Great. Thanks, computer. So I guess we're done with that. Now we do the WebAssembly thing.
Yes. Rust up, target, add, bosom, and that'll download a component for Rust.
And again, I shouldn't need to change. That's not what I wanted. It does this. I don't know if this is what Linux does natively, but this Windows subsystem does copy and paste in Bash with right click.
Oh.
So like but the rest of the computer doesn't, right? So I do this and I do Command C and then I do here and I right click. Or I highlight here and I right click and then I go here and do Command V.
Yeah.
Which I'm mostly used to, but sometimes my wires get crossed.
Not a fan.
Yeah, it's definitely weird to have that. Okay, roast up command not found. So this is, to get started, you need, I probably just didn't do this. You need cargo's bin in your path environment variable. Next time you log in, this will be done automatically. So let's maybe just restart this. There's some command to do that. Remember what it is?
To restart what?
Like to reset your console.
Oh yeah. Depends on probably bash. Just type bash.
See if that doesn't do something.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There you go.
Yep, that did seem to. Let's see. Nuts. Still command not found. I guess we could just
started. You need cargo's bin directory in your path.
Yeah.
So
it did say next time you log in, this will be done automatically.
Oh.
I could try actually restarting it.
Yeah, try that.
But that will mess up. I'll have to re-put it into OBS, which is not the end of the world, but you know.
Yeah.
So let me just make sure that that's okay. Looks like it is. Should I just try this? It doesn't matter what directory I do this command, right?
Which one?
Do it from right here? Yeah.
No. If it's on your path, that means you can find it no matter where you are.
It did not lie. It did the thing. But let's go back to where we're supposed to. So there we are. Okay, done with step 3, right? Oh, we got some nice Baltimore sirens outside. Are they actually going down our street? Sounds like they might be. They're very close anyway. Yep, there they go. Okay, should get quieter now. Unless there's another one. Okay, yep. The 0MQ. The most update and useful installation instructions for ZMQ are maintained here. Okay.
Yep. So it looks like OSX does it via brew, which is what I did.
Yeah, it looks like I should do the first thing probably. Apartment get. And the question is, where should I put it?
apt-get decides where to put it.
Oh, it does it?
But you have to do.
But it wants me to do all this echo and stuff.
Yeah, so they have their own apt repositories, and so you have to add their apt repository to your list of allowed repositories.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, you're gonna add their address to your list of sources with that first one.
Right, which I don't know where that is. So that's something that I need to.
Just copy the command. It does it. It knows for you.
Yeah, I never know when. I often don't know when I need to worry about that.
Right.
Because sometimes when you don't understand everything that the command's doing and then you just blindly run it, you just cause headaches for yourself later.
You just blindly run. And one of the ways you can tell is it says /etc/apt. So that on the right side there, that path starts with a slash.
Yeah.
So that's
an absolute
full path. And those complete full paths usually just know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I saw the Etsy and I thought maybe that means whatever it is on your machine.
No. So etc is one of the universal root folders in Linux.
Gotcha.
Yep. The etc folder.
Permission denied. Okay, so
you will need to
sudo this.
Sudo that.
What? Permission denied on the sudo. That's interesting.
That's really annoying. Yes, su root.
So let's make sure that we're this. And what? Oh, let's just try it one more time. Permission denied. Oh, okay. Do I even remember the password for this? Let's find out. No, great. I don't know what it is. I thought Ezra was the root, but maybe not.
Oh no, there's a user on every Linux system that is just always named root, and they can do anything. Uh-oh.
Could be a number of
Could
things.
be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, let's try this. We might need to mess with it. We might need to figure out a way.
Here, try just try the echo. First of all, just echo that download. The first part to the left of the double
just the echo.
Right arrows. Yeah, just echo that to the console.
Yeah,
and then copy that.
Yeah.
And then try to edit.
But edit?
Yeah, actually. So what I'm thinking is happening is that the sudo is applying to the echo command, but not the. I guess there's not another command on the right side of that.
Is that echo working? I mean, it's just echoing that string.
Oh, I see. Yeah, of course. Basically, so this echo means that it can be piped. Okay. So the output of the command is the string, and that's the thing you want to be appended. This right here, this right bracket means append to file.
Yeah.
So appending, you want to append it to Etsy source list. So if you edit that file, you could just paste in that.
Yeah, I guess we can try to that. This could be, my guess is this is a funny Windows thing, Windows subsystem thing.
Try ls/etsy/ whatever it is. Apt /etsy/apt.
Right.
Yeah. So there's sources list. How are you with the VI?
Yeah, I mean we could do the
interface.
Yeah. I mean I could do it.
Okay. Yeah. All you got to do is get that line.
I sure ain't any hot stuff, but we can add it in.
Saving it is going to be where you get the
the error. Well, I know the thing, but it's going to tell me you don't have permission over it.
Right. So try sudo vi.
Yeah. Points. I don't want to override. Okay.
Yep. And then that should do it.
Okay.
Quit. Sweet, that worked.
Okay, I think it worked.
Interesting. There is something about how sudo works that I don't understand. And I don't know why that one worked and the other didn't.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think it might have something to do with piping.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do it. Write to nothing. Success.
It doesn't sound like success to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like success. I mean, this bar doesn't look too successful either.
No.
Can't open this. No such file or directory.
Weird. Come on. Let's look at the command again. wget Oh, dash O dash? That looks strange to me. This after
Yeah.
release key dash O dash. Try it. Try the same command just without the dash on the other side of the O. No.
Often requires an
It's a
argument.
URL.
Right. Okay. So it thought that that was an argument. Just the dash was the argument for
Yeah.
the O.
Huh. Oh, here we go. No.
That's what I said before.
What the heck?
Solving, connected, and then it can't open. I don't know what this is.
GPG can't open it.
Yeah.
Try GPG-V just to make sure you have GPG.
Oh.
Okay, Control C out of that.
I don't know what that.
Dash V apparently isn't that in GPG. Okay. That is very strange.
Here's where I would
maybe
just
that was
start
success.
frantically.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's try it.
Yeah, who knows? I guess. Could not open file version. Okay, so we got to sudo this. Well, so console. Already the newest version. Following packages automatically installed.
Oh, you already have it.
Okay, great.
Oh, great. Okay, well, I think
perfect.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, cool. Oh, the version number that you install must be 4.1 or higher. Just make sure that. Is that? I don't even know how to tell.
Yeah, so it's libzmq3 dev. So that makes me worried that it's not 4. I'm gonna look at that 0mq instructions again, because this is definitely the hard, like, what keeps.
Yeah, I think that
beginner programmers from, like, so many people are going to just drop off right now.
Right. Yeah.
In the process.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the case for a lot of this. This technology, not just Holochain.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's just these are new things, and so the infrastructure that makes it easy to get started doing Ruby on Rails or Python or something just doesn't really exist yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it's possible that they have some Docker containers that are just pre-made that just do all this stuff right away.
Right, but none of the instructions give you that.
Yeah. There was something somewhere that mentioned, I don't know where that was. It was on GitHub somewhere. Not here, so.
POSIX tarball. Bleh.
So this is Windows, which I don't think we want, actually. We want tarball.
So here's a thing we could try. Might be a little crazy, but let's do it. Development master. Our goal is that development master is almost perfect all the time. You can get the latest development master at any time via Git. If you're developing new apps, we recommend you test against the master regularly. So
see what they say.
Yeah, let's try that. It could take a long time because it'll be
but this is
source, but
3.1.
Oh, that's ZMTP 3.1.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. That's the same.
Yeah, libzmq3. Yeah.
I mean, we just need a command to check what the version is somehow, right? Because maybe it's already the right.
Oh yeah. How do we do that?
0mq version, maybe.
I want to play around with it.
Man, I found.
Oh, to check 0mq version.
We do have 4 viewers, like right now.
Oh, good.
I'm sure you're
I'm sure-
extremely
yeah,
entertained by the stream.
Look, if people are trying to go through this and they get stuck here,
Yeah, 3 viewers now.
we have, yeah. All right, bye. Sorry. Sorry, we're just
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I mean,
figuring this
we need to
stuff
do
out.
this stuff.
If you're
Anything good?
not yet. I'm on a site that wants to turn on notifications and like load pages.
Right. Q version. Well, I found somebody's shell file for shell script for getting 4.2.2 set up on
Okay,
Ubuntu.
that's not bad.
Might be able to just steal a little bit of this.
We could also just charge forward blindly and keep an eye out for an error that says 0MQ couldn't be found or doesn't work, or
Yeah.
because that's a PHP script too. So
Yeah, that's seeming
would
like
have to
some of
install
them are like
PHP.
language. Like this one is,
Yeah.
Python's.
Yeah.
Like
No,
you have to run a Python program to tell you the version.
Yeah, we're starting to shave the yak.
Yeah. What is that?
That means we really want to build this thing over here, but before we do that, we have to figure this out, and then here's a way to do that. I guess we can install this to figure out the version.
Why does shaving the yak
PHP? So eventually down that line, you're shaving a yak in order to wash your car.
Oh, it's just literally. I see. Literally.
Yeah, I think we can blindly charge forward.
Yeah. Okay. So that sounds fine. Okay.
And
Networking tools.
Assume we've got it, and if we don't, something will break. And
We'll fix it later.
Yep.
Okay. So we got this NH3 N3H thing.
Yeah, and this is optional.
Right. We could skip this for now.
Yeah, let's skip it for now.
We'll probably need to go back and get it at some point. But it sounds like we don't actually need this until we are actually trying to network 2 computers together.
Yep.
So probably won't be doing that, I would guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so development tools.
Right.
So here's where we need the command line thing.
And scroll down, and it's those first 4 command, probably Ubuntu, the bottom one for you.
There's 2 Ubuntu.
But you want the command, not the container.
Oh, right. Go. So,
and then
downloads now. And what are we doing with this?
So you'll need to untar it.
Right. So I need to get
so
this.
Go to your command line. I can give you the command for that.
I'm just gonna put it into.
Put it into a folder that you can that
I can actually like this with.
Oh yeah, because it needs to be on Linux.
Yeah, and sometimes that stuff is. Let's see. Holochain folder and that.
Yeah.
So let's head back that way. And there it is. Okay.
Cool. So what you're gonna do is tar the command.
This isn't here.
I'll give you the command.
Okay,
because
cool.
It's, they don't actually give it to you there. And this is just something that using Unix you pick up somewhere, and you're picking it up right now. So it's actually not tar. There's some flags.
Oh, okay.
So tar space dash XVF.
Do you know what
I have
those
to
are?
look those up every single time. But, they all do something. The X is extract. V is maintain something. F is maintain something else. But that should work.
Tar is just a generic like look at this
tar is a
file.
Unix command, a Unix program that comes with every single version of Linux.
Right, but
I've
like,
ever seen.
what is it generically doing? Do you think?
Hmm?
What is it generically doing?
It's a an archiver. So it's like zip.
So it's extracting stuff.
Yep.
Right, so
So
now we've
you'll
got this.
rename that to H.
Oh, right. How do I do that again? HC?
HC.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually, you actually do that with the move command. So
Right.
you move it from the location of its current name to the location of the new name you want.
Right,
So
that does sound familiar.
Yep.
So like this.
to /.
Just that, right?
Yep.
Oh.
And now you want to put that you want to move that HC folder to somewhere on your path. And so what I did,
right.
I would do this. I would echo
Echo the path or whatever.
yeah, $path. Yep. And so we can look in there for some nice general ones. I did user local bin. So
home.
yeah, it looks like in the
These are
top,
all Ruby.
the top right, you see like /user usr/local/bin is on there.
Yeah. /user /local sbin /user /local /bin.
So I moved it to, I just moved mine to
Okay, that sounds good.
HS. Yep.
Okay, so we will
do that same move
move
command mv
HC to that, right?
/HC. I would make it explicit, the whole C. Yep.
Oh, right, because it's including the name of the thing.
And you could have done this all in one shot, right? You could have moved the big long cmd -v0 blah blah blah
Just to that.
user local bin HC, and it would have renamed it in the
Right.
same.
Yeah. Okay. So permission denied, of course. Right. Yeah, because those user local things are sensitive. Okay.
All right. Now
there it goes.
Now hit HC.
Now we can remove that. We can kill that file, right?
You can. Yep.
Is this even how you kill this kind of thing? Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Now try HC version. Just to confirm that it's on the path and that we're.
Should have done that before deleting the file. Program HC is not currently installed. I maybe need to reset.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect that, but maybe.
Yeah.
You might have to. Well, that's odd.
Instructions. Yeah, I mean, definitely there.
User local bin, and then just
I'm gonna try doing this just in case.
Yeah, I guess it did work last time, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Okay, not this time though.
ls /user usr/local /bin /hs or HC.
HC, yeah, it is in there.
Yeah,
but wait,
but it looks like here, do ls, the same command again, but -al. So ls space -al, so that's show everything and show like details about it.
Yeah.
So HC looks like it's executable.
Yeah, it's not
owned. It's owned by you. LSAL just user local bin. I wonder if the HC folder is, no, that's totally open to you.
Yeah.
Try calling it explicitly. So just /user/local/bin/hc/hc space -- version.
interesting.
Cannot open shared object files. So this is the problem.
Cannot open shared object file.
Yeah.
No such file directory.
This feels like Windows on Ubuntu on Windows BS.
While loading shared libraries.
Yeah. Try sudo that.
Forgot who I was.
No.
Yeah, no.
That. All right. Let's try something else. Let's look for maybe another place in the path that doesn't have this.
Yeah, my guess would be it's like a path.
Why is the path changing so much?
I don't think it's changing. Oh, actually, you know what?
It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every time we.
What has this? It's see this stuff with the MNT. See, like that's like Windows stuff.
Yeah.
It might be like. Let me see what happens when I go here and do it. Oh no, yeah, it still has. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Definitely, it does weird stuff with this path. Manipulation. Yeah, it does weird stuff with the path.
Yeah,
this is something that I've had trouble. Like, so I think another place we could try is just home, and we could just add this to the bash profile. How about this?
Let's put it in home as a cargo bin. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, whoops. Let's try to copy it the real way instead of right clicking. Yeah. Okay, so let's move
user local bin HC.
User local bin HC here.
And /HC.
Oh, /HC.
And then that'll need a sudo.
Yeah, I suppose you're. Now let's see what it does. Still nothing. Oh, let's try this.
But yeah, let's try that.
Yeah.
And let's try the closing and opening again.
Yeah.
That has worked in the past. Ubuntu on Windows. No. Yeah, try that. HC -- version.
Oh, you want to try it in here? I don't. It's gonna.
That's super annoying.
Well, there was another place that it could be. Like we could try putting it in this somewhere in one of these MNTD things.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, like look at this. Oh wait, no, that's just that one, but
that's user local go bin
here now.
Keybase.
Their generic one is what I'm trying to.
Try running it from home as a cargo bin explicitly. So
was it like this or something?
.cargo.
Okay.
.cargo /bin /HC/HC.
Oh, it's right.
Version.
Yeah, no, it's still getting the same crazy thing. Yeah. I think we might need to. I think we should try putting in one of these.
Okay.
And after that, maybe give up.
Yeah. And then we can maybe move on.
Yeah. Here, this one. Oh, that's go bin. Maybe we'll just make a new bin and add it to the path.
Well, that won't be one of these types. Put it in there. Try it out. I mean, it'll be sitting there next to Go files, but
yeah,
Go will ignore it.
Gotta be a better place, but maybe
they're really you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer putting it in its own folder, but let's try this. Yeah, let's try this first. And if this works, then we can then I'll make a generic
Yeah.
a generic
Oh, I see. Yeah.
bin like here.
Yeah.
Okay. Move this one
The whole folder. So yeah, there you go.
to
Yep.
okay. Oh. A thing. All right. Enough of this.
Enough. Yep. Okay. I can share my screen.
Did you already do? Did you
I
finish
do.
this?
Yeah, I have HC installed and working.
Okay. Cool. Did you do the rest of this stuff? Because maybe we can just go to.
I haven't done the complete rest of it. No. I don't actually quite remember where I am, but I did install the networking tools.
Production tools installation, I think.
Yeah. So I'm at the production tools installation step. So if you wish to have a way to run Holochain apps beyond the simple way available in the development tools, you can do that with Holochain Container. And maybe we skip this for now.
Yeah, sounds like maybe we.
Yeah. Because our prototype or our proof of concept is all command line anyway, and then help with paths. We don't need that. Okay, I think we're done. I'm all set with this quick start.
Beautiful.
So tell you what, let's take a break here. I could use a restroom break.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But let's take 5 minutes and then get into what's after the quick start. I mean, I guess.
I think then we go to. Well, actually, I guess we could see.
Yeah.
What it recommends for us to go to.
Yeah.
But I think we could maybe just go to the CoinToss app after this, depending on how much information.
Yeah. So maybe, yeah, it looks like there isn't a bridge, an obvious bridge between the quick start, which gets you there, and then this. I think what I need to know is what this DNA thing is.
Yeah, we do need to do that. Looks like all we
need.
How
do I make a Hello World Holochain app?
Right. Yeah, that is.
Like, what does that? Maybe while I'm away, you can try to find that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some water as well. But
okay, sounds good.
Like 2 minutes.
Back, yeah. Let's say 12:40.
Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna put it to the Okay, here we are back.
Hey, hello everybody.
So
All zero of you.
here, we probably just lost everybody.
No, we're talking to all of the future.
There are two viewers.
It's you and me.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm not viewing. I'm on the dashboard.
Yeah,
maybe it counts.
I think that counts.
Okay, maybe that counts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we have never gone below 2.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But
all right. Well,
we expect hordes and hordes of future developers to
yes.
watch this recorded video. So
certainly.
Welcome back.
Right. Okay. So I think that we go to the intro to chapter 3 of this.
Yeah.
This guidebook. It has a little blurb on DNA, which is probably the most basic thing. So this says, recall that a goal of Holochain is to enable cryptographically secured, tamper-proof peer-to-peer application.
Yep.
DNA files play a fundamental role in enabling this. Imagine that we think of an application and its users as a game. When people play any game, or imagine that like it literally will be a game in our case.
Yeah, so this is going to be difficult for us because we are thinking of the application and its users as a game, not the application as a game, which is what is in our minds.
Right.
The applications and its users as a game.
As a game. Okay. Yeah, this is like, I think what they made is sort of a coordination game.
Oh, sure, yeah.
As in the sense that, Ethereum is a game. When people play any game, it's important that they play by the same rules. Otherwise, they're actually playing different games. Holochain, a DNA file, contains the complete set of rules and logic for an application.
Okay.
Thus, when users independently run an app with identical DNA, so I assume here DNA is the thing that you maybe share in some, maybe, I don't know if it gets hashed or you just share the DNA.
My guess is
to confirm that you can talk to another person.
Yeah. The group you're with is you find the group you're with by hashing the DNA.
Right. I'm guessing that's where this is going. Okay, so thus, when users independently run an app with identical DNA, they're playing the same game, running the same application with cryptographic security. What this allows in technical terms is that these independent users can begin sharing data with one another and validating one another's data. Thus, users can interact with the data in this distributed peer-to-peer system with full confidence in the integrity of that data.
Because they know that the validation, if I validate my move using the same code that you use to validate my move, you can be confident that we both get the same answer, having run the same code on the same data.
Right. At least that's the theory.
Yes.
I mean, that immediately raises some questions in my mind, but let's keep going.
Of course,
and see.
That's only true if the code is purely functional.
Right, or if like, I can upload the same DNA, but I can have any amount of other code locally that can mess with data.
But then you're not running that DNA. You're lying about the DNA that you're running.
Right, I would be lying about
that's what this verification step is.
It should, maybe there's some way it
you gotta
prevents you from
code and then also validate the data.
Yeah, maybe it prevents you from using code that you don't include in the hash or something like that. Maybe.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that makes sense. Right. So what this allows, blah blah blah. Thus, users can. Okay. The key takeaway from this is that if you change the DNA configuration, validation rules, application logic, and a user runs it, they're basically running a different app. Right. So it does sound like it does exactly what you said. If this brings up questions for you about updating your application to different versions, good catch. This concern will be addressed later in this section.
Cool.
Except this is the end of this section. I assume they mean like the whole chapter, maybe.
In the 3, yeah.
in the next 3 lines. Before exploring the details of DNA, take a minute to explore the different platforms that you target. Could do this, but
I would suggest an edit. Let's suggest an edit to change section to chapter.
Is there an easy? Oh, you're right. Look at that.
Let's not do that right now. I take it back.
This would certainly be a nice
rabbit
thing.
hole, but
yeah, this is the kind of thing we should do.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Building for different platforms.
I think we don't.
I don't think we need to care about this right now. It's nice to know that it can do this. I don't think we need to worry about it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, introduction to DNA. Yeah, this is, I feel like, honestly, this will probably be the last thing we do. Okay. We probably won't get to.
I'm good until around 2. If
you're for an extra hour.
I'm up for an extra hour.
Cool. I might have somebody dropping somebody off that I might need to off that I need to go to the door. But yeah, I should actually plug my phone in.
Yeah, I say we go until we're done, which might mean it's time to go or whatever. But I'm good for another hour. No problem.
Oh man, this is pretty intense trying to learn all this stuff, set something up on my computer, manage the stream.
It is. Yeah,
it's pretty tiring.
Yeah. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. It's like, streaming like the hardest puzzle game ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. As a developer, you won't have to interact directly with the contents of a DNA file that often. However, it is quite important to grasp its role and structure. They are written in JSON. Great. Yeah, we know what that is. In the case of Holochain, these DNA files also contain compiled code, which is executable by Holochain. Interesting. So even the JSON files can include some compiled code.
Right. My guess is that it'll include the WASM code, the WebAssembly code. So it'll be compiled code, right? It's not code that you're ever going to type in there.
Right. It's only going to get put in there by something else.
But it's the thing that the Holochain platform grabs and runs into the WebAssembly environment.
I would love to see if we can look at some examples of this while we're doing this. So this is the DNA file of the CoinToss app.
Folder.
Yeah, sorry, folder.
But yeah, let's look at DNA.json. I think that's the one that we're talking about here.
Right.
Ooh, nice UUID.
Yeah.
That's not universally unique.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Right. So I just want to see if there's any of that. It doesn't look like this has any compiled code in it.
No, it doesn't look like that.
It seems like it must be treating this entire folder as the DNA and like not just this file.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe though. Could be.
Like, let's see.
CoinToss.
This is a JavaScript file.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's keep reading because I don't know how to understand why there's a JavaScript file in here.
Yeah.
Okay. As previously mentioned, you do not need to edit this master DNA file directly. Okay, so maybe they are really just talking about that one file. Yeah. Holochain command line tools can be used to build it from your raw files. Right, that makes sense. Configuration. For the configuration related parts of your DNA, they will come from actual JSON files. So maybe this whole folder. Yeah.
But it does say stored in your application folder. So let's look at CoinToss.
There is no application.
API UI test. API is often like if you're building an API, Anchor.js, Holochain.js. Oh, that does not look standard.
Yeah, that does.
Anchor.js? Nope, that doesn't either. It does look like the application code is in the DNA folder, which is confusing reading this.
Yeah. Well, let's continue reading and
we can continue reading.
See what's going on. This is an open source project, so it's very possible that the various tendrils that we're kind of looking at are slightly out of step with each other, and they're we've already seen that.
It's also early, which means
it's
early, which means people like us haven't come along and gone what?
Right.
Until now.
Yeah, but you can see watching us go through this process why it's important for the terminology within a project to eventually get tightened up so that when we're reading this and then we look an example and we go, oh, look at that, it's right there, instead of this is different than what it says and now we need to figure out what it really means.
Yep.
But cool. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so stored in your application folder, there will be multiple JSON files nested in the folders. An application folder should have a file in its root called app.json, which I don't even know.
I don't think it does.
It doesn't. Yeah. This file should define various.
Now that I think we might be being completely unfair, because that might be the Go version of coin toss.
It totally might be.
Or
if there even is.
Yeah, I would search coin toss.
How many?
Oh, there's only one.
We don't have a great way of telling.
I thought
we can look at. So it was last updated July.
Yeah, I think. Let's go through. Let's just go through the document and not try to identify things in coin toss just yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this file should define properties of your application. Some of these properties Holochain fully expects and will not work without. Otherwise, others can be custom.
Okay.
Okay. So
this is a file that we write, and then we also write some code.
Yeah.
And the HC command takes what we've written here in app.json in our code and turns that into dna.json and compile Blossom.
Okay, so then these are some of the things. I imagine many of these probably all of these are the required parts of DNA.
Yeah, probably.
So like an application name, a description, authors, including their signature, confirm that it actually comes from that person.
Yep.
A version number, DHT, which we know what DHT is, but we don't really know what this would mean. And then properties, which I assume
it's probably distributed hash table configuration, and
it is.
Leaving it empty means use the default DHT config.
Okay, so and then that's all this has. So let's check out the next. Yeah, so this is obviously pretty short.
Yep.
Oh, here we are going to learn another
zones.
Weird term.
Yeah.
I think that this is an abbreviation of chromosome.
Chromosomes. Yeah, I think so too.
Because it's DNA. I mean, that's what I'm thinking anyway. The functionality of Holochain applications is written as a collection of logical modules called zones. Zones are created inside of a folder called zones. And each zone should have its own subfolder within that in which the configuration and code for that particular zone should be placed. Okay. These zones can call and access the functionality of the others, but they're written independently.
Yep.
When the DNA file is being packaged, the code coded using base64 and combined with the configuration file associated with the zone. Configuration file is a JSON file. A file can be named anything, but the default is zone.json. Zone file is extremely simplistic at this point. It contains only a description property.
Hey.
All right, which is a human readable property. It's the only coding language that Holochain knows how to execute is WebAssembly. However, it is unlikely that you'll want to write WebAssembly code by hand. Instead, most people will write their zones code in a language that can compile to WebAssembly, such as Rust or AssemblyScript, and not JavaScript. So,
AssemblyScript is probably very, very, very similar to JavaScript.
Right.
My guess. I don't actually know about it, but my guess is that it's a it's a slight subset or slight superset of JavaScript.
Right. Probably right. I wonder if it uses a different file type. And then define a build step in which it is compiled to web. There's already a large and growing number of languages. So WebAssembly, we could has its own, its own community and website, and we could go check that out as needed. If this is sounding complex, don't worry. Sure, I'm not worried at all, Holochain. Don't worry.
I trust my future self to nail it.
Okay, should we just continue reading here? Or?
Let's go. Yeah, let's just keep going.
Cool.
Intro to command line tools.
Yeah. Oh, Janine's calling me. Hi.
Hey, did you see my text?
Yeah. They're not here yet, though. Okay. Yeah, we're still streaming, but I'll listen for the door and I've got my phone on. Okay. Sounds good. All right, intro to command line tools. There's a set of tools. There, you should install them, and we already did that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, we did the quick start. Cool.
Okay, here we go. Create a new project. So hopefully this will maybe have some build a hello world app stuff in it. I mean, this is the beginning of it.
Yeah, maybe this is it. Yeah, creating a project. I mean, maybe what we do is like just follow this. Like, let's create our own. And if we get in there and we go, hey, let's try Rochambeau, or maybe we try coin flip or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, not sure if this will work on my machine. I think we didn't quite get far enough.
Just see in it.
We could see. All right. So you'll typically want to create a new project folder for a Holochain application this way. This one approach will suit the creation of a new Holochain app. Right in your terminal, change directories to one where you wish to initialize a new Holochain.
Yep.
Come up with a name. Use this command. Okay. So I don't know if this is going to work on my machine, but it should work on yours.
Yeah, we'll see.
So let's call it. What do you want to call it? Hello world. Maybe like my first app. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, so
That lets us do kind of whatever we want.
Yeah. Okay. So this doesn't.
Oh yeah, you don't have it, right? Okay.
This doesn't work for me because, of course, HC doesn't.
Right.
The command line tools are not properly installed on my machine, even though the rest is.
So why don't I'll start sharing my screen.
Yeah, or you can just do this, and then when we get to some actual code, you can.
Makes sense.
We can do a Visual Studio.
Yeah, that works. So I can talk through what's happening on my end.
Yeah.
And I'll just make a let's see. I'm gonna do HC init. I'm just gonna say holo test. Okay, and then I'm changing directory into holo test. And then inside here, there's an app.json, a test folder, and a zones folder. So I'm going to look at app.json.
Okay, well, that reflects what we just read. So.
Yep. And actually, the app.json looks like literally the same as was in the document.
Cool. Okay.
Test. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff in test. There's a README, there's an index.js package, Webpack.
Oh, you know what? You should be able to if we start a session in Visual Studio, then we can get that code screen.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Let's do that. So how do I do that? I'm just gonna click on this icon here, session, start collaboration session. I'll do that.
It'll probably give you a link that I follow.
Asking for tons of permissions. I need to sign in.
Been streaming for 2.5 hours.
Nice. I'm gonna sign in with GitHub.
And I'm definitely gonna enjoy eating my lunch after this.
Okay. Now what? Click the live share button on your status bar. I see here. Okay. Oh, I see live share. There it is. That's the status bar. Oh, it's saying sign in again. Sign in with GitHub. Microsoft says ready to collaborate. This is not.
What's it doing?
It's not working so well. I'm gonna try this
Here,
again.
maybe I can just do it and then
It says signing in. Okay,
something.
I think I might be getting there. I might have clicked too many things.
Here, I also have one.
Signing in. Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
I think it's happening now. We're getting there.
Happening.
I've got the beach ball. Right now it's choosing me. It's asking me to choose a folder. Here we go. Projects. Holotest. Go.
I have no idea if DHT network is one of dropped in. If so, she didn't say anything in the chat.
Yeah. I expect she did drop in. Okay. Now where's downloading dependencies? Finishing VS Live. Okay, now I don't know where to get this link. Is it in the...
For me, when I click start collaboration session, it just gives me a link to there.
Oh. Well,
Like if you look at the what my present or whatever, I'll show you like this is what it does. Click start and it does. I can just copy the link.
oh my god, it wants...
Just like
There's this always allow thing. So I'm sorry, where does it? Oh, I see. It says copy it's like a notification
yeah,
that it gives you.
yeah, which you can make go.
Yeah, see now it's saying starting collaboration session again. Like what? Okay, here we go. Copy again. I've got it this time. We made it.
Did everybody?
Like with all Microsoft products, just bang on it until it works.
It's some time. Did you send it to me somewhere?
Yeah, in Discord.
Closed. I've never done this end before, so hopefully
Yeah.
it's opened a new session. Okay, things happen. Joining collaboration session. Opening room.
I see that you've joined.
Aha, there we go. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, yeah, so here we go. We are now seeing code.
Great. So yeah, it looks like there's an app JSON, which is what we've seen. There's a git ignore, which is nice. An HC ignore, which is nice. The zomes folder, which is completely empty, and then a test folder, which looks like a sort of bare bones JavaScript node project with like a some tests, some like
It's got like
boilerplate.
it's got like a template for a test.
Yeah. Okay,
And,
great.
You know, just
Cool.
all right. So there we go. All right. So let's back over to this. Right. So we did this. Let's go to the next project source folder. Source code folder for Holochain DNA project looks something like this, where the ellipses indicate a folder. Test. Right. So this is what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Tests, zones will contain subfolders. It doesn't contain anything right now.
Right.
Each folder is thought of as a zone.
Right.
Then there's some kind of zone.json file that
Describes them.
is used in the compiling of them. And then some ignore files and the top level configuration. So it's treating basically the entire app as DNA. Sounds like. Or it goes into the DNA.
Yes. So what happens is all of this stuff is the code, and the DNA is like the compiled app.
Right.
Which the compiled app is actually in JSON with some WebAssembly inside.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So configuring an app. Here we go.
You know what? I bet the Holochain container runs DNA.
Right. Okay, so let's see. As mentioned, top level of a Holochain app source code folder, there should be a file named app.json. This is used for executing the application. Holochain can adopt specific behaviors that can be configured in the app.json file. These mostly relate to how the distributed hash table and P2P gossip functions. So that's probably in that app.json, the DHT.
The DHT. Yep. Yep.
DHT.
Makes sense.
Right. So here are the properties currently used. These are all the things that are in there. Name, description, authors. Yeah, this is all fine. Version, DHT. This is the placeholder for configuration options for Holochain regarding the distributed hash table. So that's what they just mentioned. And then properties, if used, can be an object which implements numerous app-specific.
Okay.
So this is app-specific configuration, and this is sort of Holochain configuration.
So right, the Zome API will give you a property function that will pull information out of this object.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
It's a nice
Okay.
convenience,
Yeah.
sort of a convenience thing for.
Yeah.
So actually, I guess it's probably more than just a convenience thing. It's probably not only a convenience thing, but that properties function or that properties object then ends up in the hash of that ends up being like private. Part of the
DNA
of the application that you're running.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Cool. That makes sense. Writing in Rust.
Oh yeah, we have to learn Rust too. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. It has always been in the designs to support multiple languages. In the prototype, zones could be written in JavaScript, Lisp. Is this a Lisp thing or a Holochain thing? Zygomus.
must be a Lisp thing.
Yeah, it looks like it, but it sounds suspiciously
Sounds like a
biological.
Holochain
Yeah. In the new version, the primary ribosome. In the new version of Holochain, the primary ribosome, where there was a JavaScript one and a Lisp one before, interprets WebAssembly code. Right. Okay.
Okay.
While we will provide a small introduction, we should also briefly introduce Rust, since it is the first language that has a first-class Holochain app development experience with its WebAssembly compilation. Okay, so it sounds like Go is a no-go anymore anyway.
Yeah.
This is accomplished via a Holochain development kit library, which has been written for Rust. Okay. For the time being, writing Holochain apps requires writing code in Rust. This will not always be the case. AssemblyScript, yes, a language based off of TypeScript, is the next likely language in which there will be an HDK library. If it happens to interest you, there is also, that's probably, I guess this is a thing people are working on specifically to help TypeScript be used in WebAssembly. Yeah. Okay. A language based off of TypeScript. If it happens to interest you, there's an article about writing. So they want more people to write Holochain development kits for multiple languages.
Right.
Since they're interpreting WebAssembly, so they don't need to add anything for any other language.
WebAssembly, right?
Yeah, they just need people to create the tools to do it. Yeah. Okay, so from Wikipedia, Rust is a systems programming language with a focus on safety, especially safe concurrency, supporting both functional and imperative paradigms. So that doesn't matter to you unless you're like a computer scientist and you know stuff. Sounds cool though. It's a strongly typed language, which is desirable for the development of secure P2P applications. That makes sense. And compilation from Rust to WebAssembly is easy. Great. If Rust is new to you, don't worry. With lots of Holochain app development happening and through resources, the Rust book, you will have lots of references to get started.
Great.
Right. Okay. So yes, we'll be working.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the sort of the kick in the butt to learn Rust.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. That'll be fun. Lots of articles. There's a dedicated section at the bottom of the article called Building in Rust, where they talk about some Rust specific stuff. Sense? I think we can skip the writing an assembly script for now.
Intro to WebAssembly. Let's skim that.
Yeah, let's see how. It's short.
Yeah.
What is it exactly? It's a thing being developed by these people. It compiles from a bunch of different languages into this standard form. And it's meant to be used on the web.
Yep.
So there you go. Okay, yeah, this is useful info. Initially designed for use by major browsers, it's also been taken up as a portable target for execution on native platforms already.
Yep.
And there's a thing in programming where if people congregate on some kind of infrastructure, then more people will congregate on it because
it's a network effect.
Yeah, it's just got a strong network effect to do it.
JavaScript has all of the libraries you need already, so why use any other language?
Right, exactly. And also, if you're building a new thing and you need to choose which languages it's going to interpret, you should probably choose JavaScript because everybody's already using it.
Yeah, unless its drawbacks are
right. Yeah, of course. Unless there's some other reason.
Unfortunately, really are.
But that's the other push that moves things eventually. And then what we're seeing here is probably kind of a new thing that people are arriving at as let's all do WebAssembly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
WebAssembly.org describes it as binary instruction format for a stack-based virtual machine. Despite being binary, it's designed to be pretty printed. Again, this is some programming term I don't know.
Yeah, so pretty printing is like, remember that JSON file or JavaScript file that we saw? It was all in one line.
Yes.
And we were like, whoa, that's not
pretty.
Humans. That was not pretty printed.
It just means like printed in a way that is nice looking,
readable.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That's actually a nice feature. So WebAssembly can be pretty printed in a textual format for debugging, testing, experimenting. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The textual format is called WAT.
It's called WAT.
WAT.
That.
I guess WebAssembly.
Especially with the
text.
history of. Have you seen the WAT video kind of making fun of JavaScript?
No, I don't think I have.
It's pretty good. There's like a 5-minute video, somebody going through all like the stupid stuff that JavaScript does.
And saying
He interjects like WAT memes, like why would it do this? WAT.
Okay, cool. Not because it needs to be understood. Okay, so this is what it looks like.
Yep.
So not, doesn't exactly look like something a person might write, but it does look like a thing that a person could understand.
Yep.
Like this
looks more like a thing that a person would write to a Lisp programmer than to other programmers.
Yeah, that could be true. Anyway, that seems fairly readable to me.
Yep.
Once the above code is converted from WAT to binary WASM, it is in the format that could be executed by the Holochain interpreter. Okay. Wow, Holochain has its own interpreter. Oftentimes, for a language that compiles to WASM, you will have a configuration option to generate the WAT version of the code as well while compiling. Sure. While the compilation to WASM mostly happens in the background, having a basic understanding of that is helpful. Sure.
Right.
Cool. Updating to Alpha 2. Okay, so this we can skip also because we're starting.
Not written a program for
starting with
Holoproto.
Okay. Built with Holochain. Here's some stuff. So this could be fun stuff. Yeah, but I'm not sure if we want to do that right now or we want to keep reading.
Yeah, let's. Oh. Does that mean someone's maybe delivering a package?
Yes, I'll be right back. It's just my parents-in-law, so it'll be fine.
Very good.
I'll be right back. We're back.
Hey.
Ew. Okay, so were you doing some stuff?
I was just reading ahead a little bit.
Okay, cool.
The building Holochain apps Zome code. It looks
yes.
like chapter 4 here.
Right.
Zomes are modules. So zomes can
Right.
access each other's code
Uh,
using call API functionality.
right. So this is just. I mean, this is the thing that the way that most applications are written anyway.
Right.
More or less.
Yep. Holochain calls them zomes, and the nice thing about this is that a zome written in Rust and a zome written in assembly script can call each other because they both end up as wasm, and it doesn't matter what
Weird.
it started out as. It just
Right.
matters.
Like they could call each other in a general way, but not like.
Yeah.
You couldn't call like a specific function from another one, right?
I think you can. Yeah, I think you
Really?
can.
How does that?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, so part of the Zome is that it has metadata in JSON, and those names are associated with functions, right? So
Okay, sure, right.
so there will be a translation layer, and there will be like
Okay.
the JSON will hold the canonical name.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And Zomes will be able to.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. While writing the source code for DNA, it's important. Oh, that's just they're saying you should test dumbos.
Yeah. Yeah. Test your code.
Right, so they've included a default testing.
Yep. And that's very kind of them.
It is, yeah. And I'm sure that the way testing works in Holochain will I'm sure evolve over time.
Yep.
People come up with clever ways of doing it.
Yep.
Lots of examples. Okay, cool. Adding a zone. Here we go. Okay, this is where we get to do a thing.
Hey.
Okay, so after creating a new project, we did that. In the resulting folder, there's an empty folder called Zomes. Yes. The name of this folder is important and should not be changed. We can do that. Every Zome should have its own folder within the Zomes root, and the name of those folders is also important. The name of the Zome. Shouldn't have any spaces, and it should be a valid folder name. Oh,
okay.
Seems not so hard. You can make it manually, but they have a command for it. That's nice.
Right.
HC generate zomes / your Zome name.
Okay.
Command. So
once we know what we want to name our Zome, we'll do that.
Whatever. Okay, so HC specifies that you wish to use the Holochain command. Yes, I know. Generate specifies to use the command for initializing a new Zome. Okay, so generate is specifically for Zomes. It's not
okay
for other things, rests or whatever.
Gotcha.
Zome / Zome. Yeah. Okay. The output should be as follows. Okay. I guess we can just try it then.
Yeah.
Just have to guess what it should be called since I don't really know.
So I guess we want to see. Do we just want to do like start with a hello world Zome and just like
I think so.
A Zome that responds with something or has a message in it?
Greeting or hello.
Yeah, so I'll just generate Zome's hello.
Yeah, so we should be able to, I mean, we can't see you generating, but we should be able to see the files.
Right, so it ran cargo init lib vcs none generated library project or created library project.
Right, and here's the Zome. We now have a Zome called, actually let me make sure this.
We have a Zome's JSON.
Right, so here we go. We've got now a Zome called hello, which has in its base folder zome.json, which that just has a description, but could in the future have other things, I guess. Maybe we'll learn about that as we read.
I think it said right now the only thing it has is the description.
Right, so maybe right now it doesn't have anything, but maybe the intention is for it to have things like what you mentioned earlier, like if you want, functions inside of functions to be available to call by other zones or something, maybe you put them
right
there.
Who knows.
could in theory have things like that.
It's nice. It's nice for expandability.
Right. And then it's got code. So it's got a .build and it's got
So the
source.
code. So this is super, super interesting. So the code part is a Rust project.
Right.
There's a Rust project inside our Holochain project.
Right.
And there's also a Node project inside the test folder. There's like package.json. There's a README in there. There's a Webpack config. So Holochain is like pulling together a lot of other
a lot of stuff going on.
Engineering projects, and then it takes the results of those and packages them up into its own thing. This is wild.
Okay, so the .build, I assume this is involved with compiling to WASM.
Yeah, looks like it. Cargo, so steps cargo
build release
target the WASM.
WASM, and it has an artifact of, I guess this is maybe the name of mix at the
end. That's my guess.
And then so we've gotten the start of this Rust project, which I don't know what this code is, but looks like we've got a module called tests.
Yep.
Comment maybe that says test, but maybe that's not a comment. I'm not
guessing
totally
that's
sure.
a comment.
I don't know what this comment
that
is
looks like
supposed
code
to mean.
in there though.
This does code, so maybe it's not a comment. Whatever. That looks like a comment, and here's a function. This is clearly a test that it works, and it's asserting that 2 plus 2 is 4, and there you go.
Yep, great.
And the default file is named library, which is lib.
Yep.
And there you go. Okay, so let's continue.
Continue on.
Continue with the reading. Okay, so that worked. Awesome. Created a new folder. What's in a zone? All the stuff we just looked at. Code is okay. Everything within code is contextual to the language the zone is written in. So you can have zones in different languages, as we mentioned.
So so this one was created with the Rust developer tools.
Right, so it's just going to default to Rust, I guess.
Yep, I think the only option is Rust right now.
Right, that's true. Yeah, I wonder if in the future you'll be able to just specify that in in this command or something.
Probably, or you may be able to specify it in your app or your DNA. I don't know, app JSON or whatever.
Right, or maybe in this file,
or maybe there
the zone JSON file. Right.
Cool.
Okay. Rust create zones. Right. Rust developers gave their own unique names to Rust projects crates. There are 2 types of Rust crates: library and binary. Since zone code is getting compiled to WebAssembly, not standard binary executables, they use the library style, which is why we see a lib.rs file.
I see. Okay.
Gotcha. The most minimalistic library crate would look like this.
Yep, that's what we have.
Which is basically what we have, right? Yep, we got that cargo.
Yep.
Cargo thing. Right,
which is like a package JSON.
Yeah, it's just like a package. In fact, it says package in it.
Yep.
And notice that we've got one extra file, .build. This is the only Holochain specific file in the code folder. The rest is standard Rust. The build file is discussed later.
Okay.
Although we have a pretty good idea of what it's probably for. In general, the generated files have been modified from their defaults to offer basic boilerplate needed to get started writing zone code. This is the default entry point to the code of a library crate. It can be the one and only Rust file of a zone, or it can use standard Rust imports from other Rust files and their exports. Right, sure. Cargo is its equivalent to package or Ruby's gen file.
Yep.
Configuration and dependency specification. You can take advantage of pre-existing Rust crates in their code with one condition: that those dependencies are compatible when compiling to WebAssembly. Interesting. Okay. It says there will be more details later. But that's cool to know. So you could, you can import, whatever thing you need, but there's this condition
whatever Rust game development platform.
Right. if
Or
there's
whatever.
any game tools. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's continue, I suppose.
Yep. HDK.
Intro to language HDKs. Okay, we maybe don't need this, but let's see what's in here.
Right. So there's Holochain
so-
development kits.
Yeah, we know there's a Rust one. We're
Yeah.
not trying to write a new one or anything like that, right?
No.
What it does, it aids with the memory management of the WASM code that your zones compile into.
Okay.
That's interesting. It creates helper functions that hide tedious semantics that seem to plague compilation of languages to WASM. So it helps you. Yeah, it helps you compile whatever language you're using. Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense, right? If I'm sure there's probably some kind of default compilers that WASM provides to people, and maybe they're not that great for really specific uses, unless you. So it's better to have more specific ones. It implements a complete type system that's compatible with Holochain.
Good.
Interesting. So that's something I'm assuming we'll also learn more about later. We don't know anything about the type system in Holochain.
Right.
It addresses hidden functions that Holochain needs from Zome code, but that would be redundant and confusing to make Zome developers write again and again.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. This is another small but important grammar thing. It addresses hidden functions that Holochain needs from Zome code, but would be redundant. And it's like, it's the hidden functions that would be redundant, not addressing them. That's what I read at first, and I was like, it addresses hidden functions that Holochain needs, but that would be redundant. So why would we do that thing we just said we do? Like, what? Okay, right. So it, makes your life easier in a number of ways, and also does some really important sounding things like making the type system compatible.
It makes us not have to know ridiculous arbitrary things.
Right. And hopefully does a pretty good job of compiling whatever language you're writing into WASM.
Yes.
Okay, the Rust one. The HTK with priority development and support is the one for Rust. It's included here. I guess we can do that. Yeah, this is just in this.
That's what we installed.
Yeah, in the same. Cool. Other ones may be implemented later. A lot is going on behind the scenes to make them work. It has its own documentation. It's the API.
Okay.
API documentation. Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
This documentation will be invaluable. Yes, sure. Okay. Note that the cargo file of a new zone, in that file, the HDK is included.
Okay.
As I guess there's just a dependency called HDK. Yes, there is.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, interesting.
Gotcha.
Setting the version of the HDK. Once Holochain stabilizes beyond 0.0.x, yeah, you can tell we're early when we're on the 0.0.x versions.
Yeah.
It will be published to the Rust package manager. I'm assuming they're meaning the Rust HDK will be published to the Rust package manager, not Holochain will be published to the Rust.
Right.
And versioning will be simplified. For now, Cargo installs the HDK specified as a Git dependency, fetching it from the specified commit branch or tag of the repository.
Makes sense.
So and here's a way if you need to tag it to, a pinned version rather than right now it's just the latest of the develop branch. And here's a way to do that with tag.
Cool.
Which reminds me of Docker a little bit. Tag.
So Git uses tag, and I think Docker sort of followed
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, well, Git is one of those really important things that only programmers know about, but has changed the world in like a really big way. Cool. Yeah. Git is sort of a peer-to-peer thing too, which is interesting.
It's distributed, and now it was it was written because there wasn't one that was distributed that wasn't centralized.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, the last section: use of the HDK in Rust code. Notice now that within the lib file of a new zone, the HDK is imported there as well.
Extern crate.
Is that in there?
HDK. I don't remember seeing that.
No, that's not in there. Okay,
Not
so that's not in there right now, but it sounds like we probably are likely to want to use that. So I'm not sure if these are comments.
This
or not.
does seem to claim that we would.
Oh, so this is not a comment. Interesting.
No, I guess not.
The macro use statement on the first line is very important since it allows the usage of Rust macros discussed in the define zone article. Is that coming up somewhere?
Don't know.
I guess it must be later. Yeah, we didn't read that one yet. Defined in the HDK to be used in your code. So the HDK has macros.
Right.
I'm not sure how that's different from function, but I guess it must be in some way.
I think it is different. It's at a level of higher abstraction than functions.
It's sort of like a shell script or something.
It's like code generation.
Oh,
I think.
interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting, and I definitely don't know how that is used, but
I don't either. That's like I know that C++ uses them. I know that Lisp uses them, but they are sort of like slightly different. They can generally kind of be thought of as functions, but they are slightly different in some important ways.
Cool. Okay.
Down really deep and low in the details.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, within the Rust code files, exposed constants, functions, and even special macros from the HDK. Okay. The very first thing to familiarize yourself with is the define zone macro. Read on to learn about it.
Cool.
Okay. We will. Be adding a zone section to explore the file structure of a zone. That one, right. So what are the characteristics of a zone that need defining? There's the name, the description, which is in the zone.json file.
Okay.
The name is the containing folder name.
Okay. So we've done those.
Config, not implemented yet.
Okay.
But it's a thing.
Yeah.
Validating entry types. Definition may vary based on the language. So I'm not sure what that means in our case here.
Okay.
A genesis function, a callback that Holochain expects and requires, defined in the code itself. So we don't have that now. There's no default one. Capabilities.
The word Genesis sounds a lot like the Genesis block of a blockchain. And my guess is that it's a function that generates the first hash or the data that it uses is like the first hash in a hash chain for validation of the history of the application running.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Sounds plausible. Okay, capabilities. A collection of custom functions which share configuration of their visibility and permissions, aka who and what is allowed to call this function.
Okay.
And that includes custom functions, which are the core application logic of a zone, written in any language that compiles to WASM, and Holochain interprets through that WASM.
Right.
Okay. To develop a zone, you'll have to become familiar with these different pieces of it. The most complex of which are the validating entry types, which really does not have any information here, so hopefully they'll have more, and the capabilities and function definition. So that makes sense. Implementation details will differ depending on the language that you are developing a zone in. Building in Rust. This is the thing that it was mentioned. The define zone macro. Okay, so as we discussed, it's the dependency in the cargo.2ml. I wonder what that.
TOML. So it actually stands for Tom's Obvious Markup Language. It's like JSON or YAML or something. But it's designed to be obvious what it means when you read it.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
You're scrolled to the right on that view.
Oh, on this view?
Yeah. Scroll to the left some. Yeah, there we go. So the package heading is sort of obviously
I
a
see.
heading, and
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it seems obvious. Doesn't seem that much more obvious
more
than
obvious than
JSON
more
or
obviously than YAML.
anything. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah. YAML's not super obvious.
Not at all.
Where? Right. And then so it's defined as a dependency here. We're not referencing it yet in this lib file, but we can, similar to like a require in JavaScript or something like that.
Probably. Yep.
Xome code in Rust gains access to Rust features. The first line in the following code snippet is important macro use. This imports access to custom Rust macros defined by the HDK. So I wonder how that works exactly, but this is what they had before. So what you seem to use to do that.
Yeah.
What are Rust macros? Generally speaking, they are code that will actually generate other code when compiled. They are shortcuts. Anywhere in Rust you see an expression followed immediately by an exclamation mark, that is the use of a macro. In the case of Xome development, it was discovered that much code could be saved from being written by another strange comma, by encapsulating it in a macro. That is how define Xome came about. It is a Rust macro imported from the HDK, which must be used for every Xome, unless you read the source code for it yourself and write something that behaves the same way.
Unless you write by hand the code that it will generate for you.
Right. That makes sense. The following is technically the most minimalistic Xome that could be implemented. It does nothing, but still conforms to the expectations Holochain has for Xome. Okay, so we should definitely look at it. So here's the macro thing and importing the HDK. Sure, yeah, actually, that's a good idea. So this, I'm guessing we put at the top somewhere.
Let's leave test up. Oh, we definitely need what you just erased.
I was gonna just put it at the top.
Oh, I see.
I guess we can just leave it like this for now.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know what we're
It'll
doing.
complain if it's a problem.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what we're.
And we'll probably end up moving that test module out.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Let's leave it there for now.
No, it's okay.
Yep.
Okay, so let's look back here because it's got the explanations.
Yep.
So here's the macro.
Yep.
And then it's got these different bits in it. I assume these are basically inputs to the macro.
Yep.
So they're actually making the whole Xome with this one macro.
Yep.
So probably doing a bunch of stuff on the other end. Entries, who knows? Genesis, that's the thing that it mentioned. So every Xome needs a Genesis. Like it's just a...
Yeah, entries here, it says down below, entries represents the validating entry type definitions.
So that's this thing that was here. So that's defining a bunch of types that the Xome, input types the Xome can take in, maybe that kind of thing, or just maybe it's just all the types the Xome will use. I don't know. Oh, it says it'll be explained next.
When we start seeing some examples, it'll start to.
Yeah, it says that's the next thing that's explained. So
okay, great.
We'll get more details on it. Genesis is the thing. Yep, that they mentioned before. Yep. So there will be more details on this as well. Functions is functions, so I'm sure that's completely
those are the
customizable.
Yep.
Interesting that these are different types.
Functions and capabilities are different. Yeah, that is
so I'm sure that they will have more of that too. And so all four of these are required for Divine. So
yep.
Cool. That does seem convenient on first look. Okay, let's check out the next thing. App entry type definition. An entry is a data element that an agent authors to their source chain, stored on their local device. So this is some Holochain stuff.
Is this the first time we've seen the term agent?
I think it might be, yeah.
Going through this, because it's definitely used as though the reader understands what it means.
Yeah, I don't think they've explicitly defined agent.
I don't think so either.
But
Maybe it's an overview.
Yeah, here,
We could
let's
put that.
check. But not sure. Author? What's wrong? Agent. I don't spell it right. Okay, let's skip here for a second.
Yeah.
This is maybe something different.
Yeah, this is the technical meaning of the concept agent,
Yeah.
but we don't have the conceptual definition of agent yet. I mean, it's agent centric. I think I happen to
Here, an agent has a name, ID, public address, and is defined by a private key that resides in a file on there.
I think an agent might be somebody participating in the DHT.
Right. Yeah. In the context of this article,
seems that way.
I think just an agent. Well, they're calling them agent authors. Are people that are participating in the DHT in some way.
Yeah, their source chain. That's another term that we haven't seen yet.
It's not. Yeah, and this is definitely Holochain specific stuff.
I see. So maybe if we could read the Holochain white paper, we'll understand this better.
Yeah. Have you looked at that, by the way?
Briefly.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's very intense. Yeah. It's super cool, but it's it looks like you need a PhD in computer science.
Yeah, sure.
It's like very, very serious. It's like harder than that is definitely the hardest white paper that I've seen to understand.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how much we'll get out of that, although it is cool to try to figure out what.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So stored on their local device, which is then propagated to peers. So this is describing the process behind the distributed hash table.
Right.
idea.
And I think it does make a certain amount of sense, right? Like if we're both participating in this thing, whatever it is, we're agents, we're author data. Like I'm like in Rochambeau, right? I'm picking a thing. I'm authoring it to my source chain located on my local device, and the entry is the hash commitment to my move that gets propagated to peers. You're one of my peers,
right? And then presumably both of our source chains can be propagated to the rest of the network,
right?
In a way that's not specified here.
Right.
And this is kind of the stuff.
Maybe this isn't us playing Rochambeau together because we don't have to propagate that to the whole network. An entry might be the result of our game.
Right. Well, I think that both would be. I think that the moves in our game might be stored somewhere on our local source chain, or maybe just locally separately, and then maybe only the result ends up on our source chain.
I think the result is the thing that is propagated to the peers. The game result.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's probably true. And then that's what's hooking into
the game result will include the entire chain of moves in the game.
Right. The game result will be a hash of all of those moves, so you can only get to that result if you had a game that went exactly the way ours did.
Yep.
But there's no reason for the rest of the network to have to
be validating along the way.
Yeah.
Right. unless we want observers who are like keeping track of time, like if it's a timed game, like a chess clock or something, and there's observers that are validating that we're not like faking the game or something.
Yeah, although it sounds like DNA. That's what DNA is for. Like if you can confirm that game result, you can tell what DNA the two players used, then maybe that's a good way of confirming that they didn't cheat.
The DNA can't help you with is when in the past something happened and how long it was to
that's
entries.
true.
Only the ordering. Like it can confirm the ordering with hashing, but it can't confirm how long each thing took. So like if the game rules say you only have a minute to choose your move, you need other people sort of validating that independent, like you need like independent auditors
Right.
watch
Well, I
it
mean,
in real time to see if your move got out there in the right time. And that's something that we do not have to worry about right now.
yeah, I mean that's a pretty subtle.
We're gonna get to that problem, and it's gonna be a tough one, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, cool. All right, so moving on here. The entry is backed by a chain header, which is the data element used for verification of the integrity. Oh my gosh. Which is the data element used for verification of the integrity of itself, as well as the entry. What? So the
Merkle
chain
tree.
header, yeah, the chain header is what's used to. I think it's just
we don't need to understand that.
Yeah,
statement.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Entries are. It's secure because it has a header that can be used to verify the integrity of the header.
Right.
Sounds very secure. I swear it's secure. It's math. Okay. Entries are.
What it boils down to.
Pretty much. Entries are a fundamental primitive type within Holochain. Entries are an abstraction. They can technically be persisted to a device in a variety of ways. Databases, which can be as simple as files in the file system.
Yep.
In which file system are they talking about there?
The agents file systems.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Yep.
Right, but they're also saying that every entry is something that's going to be authored to that agent's source chain.
The data that makes up the source chain can be held in a database of any kind,
right.
One of which is a file system. So the source chain is data, a series of hash proofs.
Yeah.
And that data needs to be stored somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So it can be stored in a Postgres database or a file.
Okay. There are types of entries which cannot be written to the chain by users of an application. These are generally called system entries. They include DNA and initial agent entries, which are always the first two entries written to a chain.
Okay. Yeah, we're kind of leaving the realm where we have a lot of context about.
Yeah.
Like, what's a chain? How are chains used here?
Right.
But
right.
like, okay, I think we can kind of accept these.
Yeah, so DNA cannot be written to the source chain, which is interesting because you would expect it to be written at least, or the hash of the DNA to be written at least once.
I think they might use that hash in some other means.
Maybe that's the Holochain does that,
not the application chain.
Yeah, it's just in the right because that sort of makes sense because this step and maybe this step also, like registering a new agent, are maybe things that just are totally universal.
This is how you join the DHT.
Right.
Once you have joined the DHT, you can start writing to that DHT's chain. That's what it seems like is going on. I'm not. Yeah. I'm inferring. I feel like I'm inferring a lot though.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. There are a special type of entries called app entries. These are entries which are created through the active use of an application by a user. They must have an entry type which, rather than being system defined, is defined by the zone.
Right. So an app type would be the commitment to choosing rock.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
For example. Yeah. Or the sort of verification, like, hey, we finished this game. This is the result.
Right. The final game result would probably be the one that. Although there could be other things. We could decide that we want to store game results more granularly. Right. What if we wanted to store every turn? In the end state of every turn or something like that, then you would have a bunch of entries for every game. I don't know if we would want to do that, but of course we could.
We may, if somebody wants to do an MMO on this thing, then they'll have to figure that out.
Right. Yeah. Or any kind of an RPG or whatever, a game that doesn't
massively multiplayer,
or just takes a long time.
Right.
I mean, a single player game. Why would you need system like this, right? You don't need to verify that someone's not cheating. if it's
Right, you can do that yourself.
yeah. Although, actually, that's not true. Never mind, I take that back. Because if you have a single player game on this platform, the reason it's on this platform is so you can do the market, right? And then you do need to confirm, does this person own the right tokens or whatnot, right?
Right.
So then you would need your entries to have something to do with that.
Yeah.
Did they take the action that required the tokens, and did they have the tokens or something like that?
Yeah, we'll I think we'll know him when we see him.
Right. It's something like there's something going on with all that stuff. Okay.
You could write it in a way that works that way.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if that's the way to do it, but
Yeah.
There's something that makes sense somewhere around there. Okay. So defining an app.
It is.
Oh, it is
2
It
o'clock.
is 2. It is my 3. Yeah. You want to be done?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That was a long stream.
I think it might be a good stopping point getting into this sort of like area where we have much less context.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got a lot to digest.
Yeah.
And maybe it makes sense to go like look into some stuff on my own, but
yeah, I think so. Let's yeah, I mean, I'm ready to be done.
Cool.
Eat some lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's just coordinate on Discord or whatever about some, the next steps.
Yeah. I think it was a really good idea to get some like explicit requirements of the next step that we want to take for the next stream, and maybe we can look at that coin toss thing.
Maybe we need to. Yeah, maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to look at just a little bit.
Yeah, we should probably have some familiarity with Rust.
Yeah.
Okay.
That also
sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah. Good meeting.
Beautiful. All right. If anybody's on the stream, we're gonna leave.
See you next time.